what? How we got into natural remedies is not something that we planned. We got into natural remedies because I was a medical transcriptionist, and I worked for UCSF in San Francisco and Barnes Jewish Hospital right from my home, and I had a very cushy job, and then I got really bad sick. And so my life took a little bit of a change. I wasn't planning it, but when I got sick, I found a lump in my breast. I had a heart arrhythmia, and I also had very, very bad digestive issues. So I just fell on the Lord and said, Lord, I'm putting you in charge of my health. I'll co-partner with you, though. Just don't turn me away. And so I felt impressed. Why don't you start juicing? You know, when we come boldly to the throne of grace, our health is one of the most precious things we have. And when we lose it, the Lord is not going to abandon us, but he wants to be invited to place number one in our life. And this is what I did. I said, Lord, you are my great physician. You're my healer. You're my creator. I'm putting you first in charge. So if you show me what to do, I will do whatever you say. But keep in mind one thing, Lord, I'm hard-headed and I'm hard-hearing. And so you're going to have to teach me how to put myself into the channel of your blessing. So I did. I felt impressed to start juicing. And I got on a good herbal regime. I found a good herbal regime, and I exercised the 8 laws of health. And pretty soon, I went on a 42-day juice fast. And pretty soon, all the clouds disappeared. The depression that had started settling over me started parting. The clouds parted, and the lumps started going away. The digestive issues went away. What happens when you heal your body? I was targeted in on that lump in my breast. I wasn't worried so much about the other little things, but when you heal the body, it heals as a unit. You can't just heal one thing. All those little problems, they go away as well. And so that's what we want to focus in on. How do we heal our body? What do we do when we're sick? What happens when you've been diagnosed with something that has just taken you by storm and changed your life focus? So that's what happened with me. And I want to share some things with you today that I hope will be a blessing to you. And we want to give you some tools. Don't we all need tools? There are some things that I wish I had known when I first got sick. I wish I had known how to juice. I just started cramming things through my juicer. I knew nothing about it, but I learned. But I wish that I had known the things that I do. My husband and I are going to show you some things about juicing. And a lot of you will never juice. But guess what? We're going to give you a tool, and you can put it in the back of your mind of how to juice, how to put it all together. If you are diagnosed with a serious disease, or if you have a loved one who's diagnosed with something serious, we're going to give you a tool, how to make it work. Sometimes people incorporate juicing, they incorporate things, but they don't know how to put the program together. So I learned it all by trial and error and just by listening to the Lord. And he's very gracious, very loving.
One of the things that we promote about juicing is a replacement for supplements. I drink a green drink that is all live food. And when it comes to supplements, you just can't beat anything better than live food.
Amen. So things have changed in our life through time. I learned some things that I was doing wrong. And one of the things that I told God is, Lord, I'm guilty. I am the one who put myself in this position. And that's not a bad thing, because we all have a certain amount of guilt, whether it's in our diet, in our stress level, in our choices in life. We all have to say, hey, Lord, I want to change these things. I want to change my diet. I want to change this stress level that I'm living with. I want to change so many things. And when we come boldly to the throne and we lay it at the Lord's feet, he's willing to show us what we need to change and how to do it. And when we come up against a blank wall, what happens? The Lord helps us get on the other side of that wall. So where do we go if we're sick? Who do we turn to? What to do? And also, shouldn't Christians have God's special favor? How many Christians are getting sick today right along with the people who aren't Christians? Aren't we supposed to be able to claim a special favor? Well, I believe that we can. When I got sick, I told the Lord, Lord, I am the woman who touched the hem of your garment, and I will not let you go. Remember the woman who touched the hem of Christ's garment, she had been to all the doctors. She spent all she had, and she came to the Lord as a last resort. But he didn't turn her away. This is a beautiful quote. He is well pleased when we urge past mercies and blessings as a reason why he should bestow on us greater blessings. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was Jacob. Lord, I'm Jacob, and I will not let you go unless you bless me. And we have wonderful promises from the Bible. For verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed. In our lifestyle center at Illinois, we actually are right 2 miles down the road from 3ABN, for those who know what 3ABN is. And I put this picture of a person with a mustard seed, because these were all pictures that I used when I wrote a book after I got well, and all these pictures. And the mustard seed is very, very, very meaningful to someone who has been sick and then you get well, because you remember, all you have to have is that mustard seed of faith. So if you say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible to you. Is it possible to get your body healthy? It's possible. It doesn't matter what you have. Just don't settle for a human diagnosis. Let him be the final say. Don't let anybody put a prognosis on your life. Let the Lord put his prognosis on your life. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. Your ears shall hear a voice, a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk ye in it, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left. We forget that the great physician will speak to us. We need to just put him back on his throne. He not only knows what we have, he knows how to get rid of it, and he knows how to speak if we'll listen. He will speak if we will listen. God will work wonders for every one of us if we work in faith, acting as we believe that when we cooperate with him, he is ready to do his part. We're always the weak link. I was the weak link. I didn't want to be the weak link anymore. I wanted to hear what he had to say. I found this picture when I was sick. Claiming God's promise provided a perfect ambiance to waiting on God, listening to his voice, and following each clear instruction. The Lord is the greatest teacher. What did he do when he walked on this earth? He was a teacher. He's still teaching today. We just don't know how to hear, how to listen. So when I got well, these were the things that I was able to heal my body. Because I healed my body, the digestive problems went away, dry skin, a weird weakness in my left arm, the same side as the lump in my breast. The eye problems, I had visual disturbances, aches and pains, depression, anxiety. If you took right now a piece of paper and you wrote down all the things that you would like to, get rid of, if you could just put everything away and just hand it to the Lord right now, would you have things that you could put on that piece of paper of things you would like to give to the Lord? Could you do that right now? Could you come up with a big long list? If you could do that, would you do it? And I did this. I had a whole list of things. And guess what? Every single one of those things plus went away. The things that I forgot that was nagging. This is what happens when you heal the body. We don't always have to have medication. Sometimes we just need to heal the body. So when I was sick, I discovered this 3 vital components. God's answer to healing, when we don't know where to turn, it has to contain 3 vital components. The first one is always availability. It has to have been available because God doesn't play favorites, so it has to have been available throughout history. Number 2 is going to be affordability. Nowadays, I see so many people and organizations capitalizing on the misfortune of the sick. That was never God's way. So affordability has to be one of the things that God's way always will go with affordability. Third one is without side effects. That's always God's first choice. And the reason why, when you think about side effects, we have become acclimated to contraindications. With medications, now I work to help get people off of medications. We try to get the body healthy so they can work with their doctors to start reducing their medications. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? We want to get to the point where we're free from society so we can be free and have that freedom to know that nothing can be coerced against us because we are free from the society and the coercions of society. Wouldn't that be the first thing we want to do, is get off of our medications? We can't just quit our medication, so how do we do it? We have to get our bodies healthy so we can start tapering down. This is God's way, and certainly don't take anybody's word but the great physician. So I learned that it has to be without side effects. Now, when you take a medication, you think about this. When you take a medication, we know that each medication you take is going to have side effects. But let's just say out of 100 people, this certain medication is only going to probably harm 2 people. So it's a pretty good gamble that you're not going to be one of those 2 people. But there's just one problem with that. Jesus came to seek and save that one lost sheep. So he doesn't want that one lost sheep to be suffering from medication. So we want to get off of medication, but we want to do it the right way, and we don't want to settle. Medication sometimes is settling because we're stuck in there. My mother, when she died, she was locked behind a whole complete regime of medications. And sometimes that's the way it is. I know my mom will be in heaven. I loved her dearly. But I still do what I do because I know that it's possible to try to get away from medications. And now is the time when we need to try to get away from medications. So without side effects. So what are the advantages to securing God as your great physician? What are they? Number 1 is as your creator. He already knows your diagnosis. I get a lot of calls from people that they do not know what they have. Their doctor cannot figure out what they have. New diseases, new challenges, and every year. And this last year, thousands of new diseases. The doctors cannot keep up with it. Number 2, his way of healing is whole and complete from the inside out. That's always God's way. Number 3, he holds within his hands the power of the universe. Number 4, he loves you more than anyone on earth. He doesn't want you to be suffering. He said, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers." Number 5, his healing modalities are without dangerous side effects, as we already discussed. Number 6, he doesn't charge for his services, and all his office visits are free. Next one, he will work with you right from your own home. And number 8, he is available 24/7. When I was sick, I many times would go to my husband and say, "Honey, are you sure I'm going to be all right?" I was detoxing pretty hard. He would always say, "Yes, honey." And he got so tired of hearing me say that. One of the things I learned through that process is that when I would take it to the great physician, he never got tired of it. And he never once turned me away. And once I started learning that he was there, then I learned to turn to him, and I didn't want to talk to anybody about my health. I just wanted to keep that channel going. And it was great. It was precious. No one took that away from me, and no one can take that away unless you give it away. A living sacrifice, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God. Does God want martyrs in this world? No, he doesn't want martyrs. Don't give up your life just because you think you're tired. You have an obligation here. I present you, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. In other words, he's not asking too much of you. This is what he wants you to have, which is reasonable. He said, I already quoted this one. This one's very precious. And here's one that I loved. I memorized this. There are thousands who can recover health if they will. The Lord does not want them to be sick. He desires them to be well and happy, and they should make up their minds to be well. That's what I did. I made up my mind that I was not going to let the Lord go until he healed me, but I was going to do my part. I have a lot of people that call me up on the phone, and I can tell that they want a Band-Aid fix. And guess what? We give them a Band-Aid fix if that's what they want. But if they're willing, I'm willing to help them go all the way with their health, and I go into great details to try to help them. So we have to decide if we're willing to go all the way with our health. God has provided, okay, do you remember Jethro Kloss? Does everybody know who Jethro Kloss was? Anyone? His books were in the health food stores for years, all over America. He wrote Back to Eden, and he said this: God has provided a remedy for every disease. Do you think that's possible, honey?
I believe it's true.
You saw it in my life.
It's biblical.
He's provided a remedy for every disease that might afflict us. Satan cannot afflict anyone with any disease for which God has not provided a remedy. Our Creator foresaw the wretched condition of mankind in these days, and he made provision in nature for the ills of man. Is there ever been a time in history when mankind is sicker? Never. God's people just as sick. Well, maybe not quite as bad, but we're up there with the outside world. When in faith we take hold of his strength, he will change, wonderfully change the most hopeless, discouraging outlook. And he'll do this for the glory of his name. Precious, precious.
You know something about that quote? We forget that there's a whole universe watching us. And the Bible says, whatsoever you eat, whatsoever you drink, whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God. And so when we go through our challenges and we lean on the Lord, the rest of the universe, they're able to see behind the scenes what's going on that we can't see. And when we do things that glorify God in whatever we do, whether it's in our health, whether it's in our general life, what does the Bible say about the angels rejoicing when God is glorified? So we always have to remember there's a bigger picture than just what's going on in the world that we can visually see. There's a whole lot more going on that the Lord wants us to participate in glorifying him for which he created us for.
I just have two more quick quotes here. And I always want to set the stage with, people are here for the remedies. And I always want to set the stage for the spiritual side, because we are spiritual beings. We were created by the Creator, and we need his help. Don't we need his help? Yes. We do. And so that's how I got well. I used him all the way, and he gave me instructions when I turned to the right hand and when I turned to the left. I have quoted that so many times to my clients on the phone, and I want to quote it here today. So I have two more quotes. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life, that both you and your descendants may live. We can make that choice to live. Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, nor his ear heavy that it cannot hear. So we know that the Lord is listening. We come to him with our encumbrances. We come to him with our ailments, with our sickness, with our sorrows, and he's there to hear, and he will speak back. And that's the message I want to share with you today. Did you have anything else you wanted to share there, honey?
I was just going to add that everything that occurs in our life, it has to do with our spiritual walk with the Lord, and has to do with our justification, and more importantly, our sanctification.
Amen.
Even when it comes to our health. And
Amen.
I know that I was chatting with a fella not too long ago. He was sick with COVID. And I told him that back when we had COVID, where any time that we get sick, or any time I get sick, that's probably some of the times when I'm closest to the Lord, because I don't have anything else to do but to lay there and be in misery and remember that the Lord went through so much more than what I have to go through. From the point he went from Gethsemane to the cross,
Amen.
he experienced so much more than what we ever have to deal with on this earth.
Amen.
And so I always use that time to reflect on what he did for us.
You know, we are under obligation to how we treat our bodies. But you know what? The richest time in my life is when I was going through that juice fast. And when I got to the other side of it, I was totally obnoxious to everybody else, because here I was feeling so good and everybody else is feeling lousy. So be obnoxious to everybody around you by being so healthy. That's what God wants for you. Okay, so we're gonna get started with some natural remedies. For starters here, what my husband and I are doing in Illinois is that we have our business side, our online business, which is all of our herbal remedies. But then on the other side of it, we have people come there who are sick, who need treatments. We have treatment rooms, and we're also going to be adapting our cabins. We have cabins, and we're going to be having people come there for training. We're going to have be available for churches to send different people who can come to learn about the remedies, and it will be a short time period, but they can come home, they can set up ways to do hydrotherapy on their churches. The hydrotherapy during COVID was unbelievably the answer, unbelievably, and how unbelievably easy it was. We saved so many lives just by knowing hydrotherapy and the simplicity of it we're going to tell you about today.
Can I add why we are doing what we're doing?
Sure.
We have counsel from the book Ministry of Healing, page 149, paragraph 2. Every church should be a training school for Christian workers. Its members should be taught how to give Bible readings, how to conduct and teach Sabbath school classes, how best to help the poor, and to care for the sick.
Amen. Thank you.
So that's one of the things that we're preparing for is if you want to be a part of caring for the sick and you want to bring that ministry into your church, you can come and train with us.
But what a blessing to be able to have some of these remedies that you share with your family members, gifts that you can give away to friends that will enhance their life. But it's also a good way for pathfinders to make money. It's a good way to just save people's lives and save your own life. And one of the things that we also are going to share with you today is how to populate your own medicine chest. So you have your own herbal medicine chest that you can tailor make to what your needs are in the family, what your ailments might be, your body's weaknesses, so you can take it with you when you go traveling. So we want to do that. So we have a lot of things to cover. What we have going here is, this is very simple, but we make a lot of salves, but we sell a lot of salves because we give a lot of them away. And so what we have going here is we're making a Wonder Rub salve, which is a chest rub. We're going to hand out some samples today too. So when we make the salve here, you have an example in your packet of how to make it. You can make notes if you want to. So we have two different mixtures here. One is beeswax. The beeswax is going to be the emulsifier. That's going to help everything bind together and make it hardened. Meanwhile, this is the medicinal side of it. This is where we infused it with herbs. You can see it's not just plain olive oil. It's dark. So it's dark, so it has the herbs. It's been infused for weeks. And so it's full of healing power. Matter of fact, if you were just to take this and put it in a squirt bottle and use it, you could use it that way. But we want to put some beeswax with it because we want to make it into a salve. So then on top of that, we have the essential oils, which we always add last because we want to keep the properties in the essential oils very, very still raw. We want them to have all of the live enzymes. So when we make salves, we heat it only enough to where we can get these to blend together. If I were to take this beeswax and I poured it into a glass of cold water, it would immediately gel up. So we have to make this the same temperature as the beeswax. So when I pour them together, that they will not congeal. Now, when I put them together, because I usually have large quantity blocks of beeswax, I don't have a measured amount. So what I do is very easy, is I eyeball it. So what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to stir it up a little bit. I've already got them warmed up to the right temperature, which is 140 degrees temperature. You probably have that in your packet. So from here, I just test it on the table just to kind of see what the consistency is. Perfect. Now I'm going to put in the essential oils. Would you put that? Thank you, sweetheart. Put in the essential oils. And then I'm going to stir it again. And I'm going to give you guys this one. I'm going to give you the Wonder Rub, because it's really good for COVID, putting on your chest. People can put it on their feet for the children. You put it on your children's feet, wrap it in plastic. If you do that, that's wonderful. Those feet are so tender, it'll go infuse it right up their body. Okay, so this is ready to pour. It's that fast. My husband's getting this ready so he can pour it, and just within minutes, it will be ready to use as a salve. It's just that quick. And so it's very easy for people to make. Yes, sweetheart?
I don't think I'm going to have enough of this.
I'm going to have somebody come up here and pour it. Does anybody want to come up and pour? It's got a steady hand.
Oh, I can pour.
You going to pour?
I'll pour.
All right, my husband's going to pour. There you go. So that's chest rub. It's made with beeswax rather than petroleum. Mentholatum, Vicks, those are all made with petroleum. This is made with beeswax. Again, we want to get through the healthy part. What oils? Okay, so this would be the kind that are the oils that are tailored for the lungs. Eucalyptus, thyme. I put some oregano in there, helichrysum, and boy, I don't know exactly the full recipe, but these are all really good for the lungs. Good for the lungs. Okay, anybody have any other questions? We want you to go home and make these salves, because guess what? It will bless the people around you. Pass the word along. What are the herbs in here? Okay, you're looking for the recipe for this. Okay, I can tell. Does everybody want to know that, or? Oh, that means I got to take out time to find the recipe here. Okay, golden seal, eucalyptus. Golden seal eucalyptus, usnea. It's a very good antibiotic. I'm gonna have to pull on my brain here. Usnea, golden seal, eucalyptus, red root. Red root. So it's just those three things in there. Very, very powerful for the lungs. Okay. People are typically afraid to combine herbs. But what are herbs anyway? What are the herbs? They're nutritional products. They're food. Take, for instance, kale. Kale is an herb of the field. Swiss chard is an herb of the field. Parsley. We have parsley root in some of our kidney tinctures. So the herbs of the field, they are also some of our garden herbs too. So don't be afraid of combining them. We combine them when we eat, don't we? Why can't we combine them when we're making tinctures? So we're going to teach you how to make some tinctures here in just a little bit. Because when you grab your medicine chest, you want to have tinctures in here. Now you can have loose leaf herbs that you can make teas with, and that's very powerful as well. But you want to have something handy too, and the tinctures are always very handy. So we want to teach you how to make the tinctures as well. Okay.
Well, one of the things too that's important about having the tinctures is we travel a whole lot more and a whole lot farther than our ancestors did. And so having the tinctures makes it to where even though the loose herbs that we would make a tea out of, even though those are stronger, we still have the ability to stay mobile.
I want to tell you about cayenne pepper. Now, my husband and I, as I already mentioned to someone, is that we're very careful not to stand up here and do an infomercial on everything. But I'm going to make an exception because everybody can make this, and we're going to teach you how to make tinctures today, right? Everybody needs to have cayenne pepper in their possession. I keep one in a purse, and I can't tell you how many times someone has needed one who might be having a heart attack, or someone who might feel lightheaded. There are a lot of things that cayenne pepper is very miraculous. Let me give you a few stories. Honey, do you have any stories you want to share?
We were singing for a small evangelistic weekend.
Yes.
And a gentleman on the second or third row back, he keels over in the aisle, having a heart attack. So she real quickly, we quit singing, obviously, and she grabbed her cayenne pepper, took a bottle of water, dumped about half of it out, put in a nice big dose of cayenne pepper, of the tincture, in the water, shook it up a little bit, and gave it to the gentleman to drink. Of course, he was not prepared for it, and he was a little bit surprised, but and he complained a little bit as well. Cayenne pepper's hot, but it won't kill you, and the pain doesn't last forever.
Puts the pink on your cheeks.
Puts pink on your cheeks. But it took a little bit for the ambulance to arrive, and by the time the ambulance arrived, his symptoms and his
shortness of breath
and discomfort and pain was beginning to subside. They took him to the hospital. And about 2 hours later, we got a phone call from someone who had gone with him to let us know how he was. And when he showed up at the hospital, they checked him all out. They said, well, only thing we can figure out is you must have had a panic attack. But during this whole time that he was with us, there was also a nurse and an EMT that was helping us with him. And they agreed with us that he was in the middle of a full-blown heart attack. How bad? Not exactly sure, but...
You always add details that I forget. I love it.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of people that we know of that have used cayenne pepper in a situation like that. And just what it can do is just miraculous.
There was another one. There was a little lady. She was an Amish lady. She had told me that we lived in Amish land. She told me that she was having heart issues. So anybody I know that I love, I'm going to be giving them a bottle of cayenne pepper. And I gave her a bottle of cayenne pepper. And then one day she was cooking for her family. Her daughter was getting married that day, and she was standing over the stove, and all of a sudden she couldn't feel the right side of her face, and her arms went numb. So her family grabbed the cayenne pepper, put it under her tongue, she couldn't even feel it. And every few minutes they'd give her more cayenne, and pretty soon she started feeling her face and her arms. And that week, the wedding went on.
She went back to work. The feeling came back, she kept on cooking.
The wedding went forward, and then that week she went to the doctor and found out that she had had a full-blown heart attack.
No, she had a stroke.
A stroke, excuse me. Yes, so it's good for strokes, it's good for heart attacks, it can bring you out of it. I mean, I would certainly try it. And you can use it throughout the day too. Like my husband, he takes his jar of water, and he puts superfood in it every day. He doesn't do the juices that I do. But he takes his jar and he'll put a squirt of cayenne pepper, which is strong. If you've ever tried these tinctures, they're very strong. A couple drops is all you really need. But he uses it during the day because it increases the circulation. It's a circulation stimulant. So we need to have, now the typical powders that you have at home, they're going to be anywhere from 35,000 heat units to 90,000. This is going to be closer to 200,000. So when you take that at home, if I didn't have anything else, you better believe I would be using the powder. But that has to be digested, whereas the liquid goes within seconds into the bloodstream. So we want to try to do the liquid, try to have your own tinctures, and I'll show you before the end of the day how to make your own tinctures of cayenne pepper.
Something else that you can use that for, especially in the hot summertime, everybody like to put a little bit of lemon in your water, especially during the summertime, to just give it a little bit of a flavor.
And you can put a little stevia.
There's different flavored stevia, so pick your favorite stevia, or you can change the different flavors from day to day. A little bit of stevia, a little bit of lemon in your water, a little bit of cayenne pepper. Makes for a really nice drink to keep you hydrated, plus gives you a little bit of flavor along with it.
Amen. Amen. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about juicing. And this is the tool that I'm telling you about. It seems like it's pretty easy. All you have to do is put those vegetables down there, drink it afterwards, right? Is that all you have to do? If you're diagnosed with something serious, is that all you have to do to juice? There's a couple things that we have to discuss today. Okay, we brought the juicer, but we didn't bring the vegetables. So I already brought a bottle of the finished product. So when you juice your juices, what kind of things you want to put through your juicer in the first place? What would your perfect juice be? What is it?
Someone
Celery.
said kelp. Someone said celery.
Carrots, celery. Okay, you're batting 100 so far. What else? Beets. Yeah, you're still batting 100. What else? Kale. Yes, good.
Sounds like we got a bunch of juicers in the room.
Went down 1 point. And here's why you don't do fruits. The reason why you don't do fruits is because Hallelujah Acres, I'm also a Hallelujah Acres health minister. And one of the things we learned there, which really got zeroed in on my brain when I was sick, and that is juice your vegetables and eat your fruits. Why would that be? Sugar. Sugar is right. So all fruits are hybridized now. That means they're a lot sweeter than they used to be. Then you take the fiber out of there, and then just within minutes, right into the bloodstream is all that sugar. And so diabetics can't do it. So that's why a lot of times diabetics think they can't juice, is simply because they put too many fruits in. We got to leave the fruits out of our juices, and then we got something healing. Now, cancer, when you have cancer, one of the things that I learned is that after you've been juicing for a while, that the sugars in your body are very, very balanced. And when they're very, very balanced and they don't have those spikes that some of that sugary fruit does, pineapple, banana, all of these things that you might put in a smoothie, which I'm not going to put smoothies down. We'll address that here in just a minute. But the fruits provide these spikes. And you want to have a nice, even one that your juice looks green, or, in this case, it's anytime you put even just a little bit of beets, it's going to be red.
Why don't you explain the importance of being careful with beets?
If you first start eating beets, you juice with some beets. You want to leave the beets out in the very beginning if your body's toxic. In other words, if we haven't ever done a cleanse, you're probably going to be toxic. I was toxic. I was highly toxic. And so I still talk to people today who've never gone through a single cleanse in their whole life. And so you've got to leave the beets out in the beginning, but then you can add it later on. After 2 weeks, then you can add the beets in, little bit at a time.
What the beets do is it makes your liver purge really, really hard. And putting all of those toxins that are stored in there, flooding it back into your system, it can make you feel really bad. She knows. She experienced it.
It's a good thing, but it's
a good thing, but if your body's not ready for it, it can be difficult to deal with.
And we'll talk a little bit about detox, because when we start to detox, we want to detox. We have to detox, but we got to manage that detox so that we don't tie one on our head saying, I can't do this anymore. I mean, my head was spinning after that first day of juicing. I remember that first time that I started juicing, I was cramming all the things into my juicer, not knowing what I was doing. And the next day I was so sick that I thought, ooh, I can't do that anymore. I had to learn a little bit more about getting the organs of elimination open. And I learned it along the way. Okay, so we want to go to the next step. Let's talk about what are the benefits of juicing. Autolysis is probably something, or autophagy is another way to say it. Autophagy is basically when the body starts absorbing its own filth. If we do not initiate this process, we can't get well, because this is when they say that toxins kick you on the way in and they kick you on the way out. So we've got to get those toxins out of our body. Autolysis, if we don't, it's a absorption of diseased tissue. So we want to absorb those diseased tissues. And when the body starts absorbing, that's the body saying, hey, you had just enabled the immune system. You just kicked the immune system up with all that nutrition. So I'm going to start reversing this process. I'm going to start taking these poisons now out of the tissues, and we're going to start putting them into the organs of elimination. But guess what? If all those organs of elimination are all blocked off, it's just going to circulate, and you're going to feel bad. You're going to continue to feel bad. If you were to decide to go out and get a juicer and start doing this whole hog like I did, do everything backwards in the wrong way, you'll feel bad like I did, and it may be very difficult to do. One thing about juicing, it's the fastest way to health. There is no other faster way. And I decided, hey, I want this lump out of my breast, and I want it out now. And so I went to the very top rung of the ladder, and I went on a juice fast, and it almost killed me doing it in the beginning. But finally, I was able to get some of the toxins removed enough to where I could go on an extended long juice fast, one of the best times of my life. It buys precious time. Sometimes when we get into a serious situation with our health, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what to eat. We don't know what to do. So a juice fast will help us to buy precious time. I had a lady that came to me, and she had just been to the doctor. She had pancreatic cancer, and the doctor told her she had 1 to 2 weeks to live. They didn't tell me that part. She weighed 97 pounds, and she was taller than I was. Like, I'm really tall, right? But she weighed 97 pounds, very thin, but she couldn't keep anything down. So I says, don't worry about eating anything right now. Just go right straight to the juices, and we will give you an herbal regime that will open up the organs of elimination. And so she got started on it. I didn't know that she was only diagnosed with 1 to 2 weeks to live, but she caught the vision of cleansing her body, and she wanted to live. So she went home, started juicing, didn't eat another thing. For 1.5 years, she lived, but she juiced. Her husband juiced for her for about 8 months, and she was doing quite well. And then her husband got tired of juicing for her, and then they stopped. But she continued to live another 8 months. But she was doing good. She was feeling good. She was getting on the other side of it, and they made that decision to stop. And no one can condemn them. It was a choice they made. It's done. Also,
but it goes to show the power of juice. The doctor gave her a week or two to live, and she lived 18 months longer.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable what it had done for her body. But when you start something, don't get discouraged. When you feel like in the middle of it, you can't do anymore, well, you can't do it anyway. The Lord has to empower you. The Lord has to give you that power. You can't do it on your own. The next one is it floods the body with nutrition. It's cellular food for the immune system. What sets that detox going? What puts you into that detox mode? It's going to be the immune system. And what puts the immune system high? It's going to be the nutrition. There is more nutrition in a glass of vegetable juice than most people have in an entire day. We have a carpenter that works for us. He eats every day at McDonald's. And he came in one day and ate with us, and he just stared at all the food.
We scared him.
He was scared of our food because he doesn't eat salads. He doesn't eat fruit. He just eats at McDonald's. And one time I walked up. He was having a conversation with the other carpenter. And I walked in, and they were talking. And he says, I've got this pain right here in my chest. It's right at the top part of my stomach here. And I said, really? Let me listen. And I went over and listened to his stomach, and I said, no more McDonald's for you. I thought it was funny anyway. Juicing ameliorates dietary violations. I don't recommend dietary violations, but we all have them. But if you want to at least offset it a little bit, well, you got it. It's going to be the juices. It's going to buy you some precious. It's going to keep you going even when you violate, like you're traveling sometimes.
I want to add just a little bit on that. As she said, we all violate, and we all want to get victory over our violations. But the juicing gives us time to work on those so that maybe we won't stress so hard about it.
That's right. And sometimes we do violate, and we don't always know what we're doing wrong. Here's a beautiful quote from Dr. Cabot. She wrote this book, Juice Fasting Bible, and I pulled this out. Although I can give no promises, I have seen raw juicing cure cancer, resolve several different types of liver disease, and overcome chronic fatigue syndrome. Never underestimate the power of raw juicing. Juice fasting is not only a key to a better life, it's a key to life itself. Now, a complete juice fast is not probable for really anybody here unless you really decided you wanted to do it. And I'm a full advocate in juicing. However, there are different ways to juice, and there's different ways to fast, and I will go into that here in just a little bit. Okay, the next one, the power to break down the cellular structure of raw vegetables and assimilate the precious elements they contain, even in the healthiest individuals, is only fractional, not more than 35%, and in the less healthy, down to 1% in the form of juice, these same individuals, however, can assimilate up to 92% of these elements. It is a well-known fact that all foods must become liquid before they can be assimilated. So toxins actually come in the body, and they come out the same way in a liquid form as well. So we know that when we chew our food, we're getting those juice out of our food. So we're actually a juicing machine ourselves. When we juice, we're bringing the nutrition out of that fiber. Okay?
There was a video that we watched. There was a natural remedy place in Arizona, and one of the young men that went there, I think they were doing juicing they were juicing for a month, weren't they? Were the young man that had type 1 diabetes?
It was 30 days.
Yeah. So pretty much most of your doctors will tell you that type 1 diabetes is not curable, but this one gentleman, young man, he had type 1 diabetes and was able to get over it with a 30-day juice fast.
Yes, that's very true. We juice, when we begin to juice and detoxify our body begins to decalcify. Now, we had well water, and we could see that calcification that would come on our sinks, on our faucets. That's what happens to our body. We build up these calcifications in our body. When we begin to juice, the immune system starts breaking down these calcifications. Okay? But here's the first one is nutritional decline in the soil. My husband and I will show you here in a minute about the nutritional. How many nutrients do we have in the soil nowadays? It's unbelievable. That's why we need to have our own gardens working toward that. Number 2 is GMO foods. GMO, do you try to avoid GMO? Everybody comes in contact with them. We do. Try to get away from them because glyphosate is a mineral chelator. Chelates out what little minerals are in the soil already is going to be glyphosate. Next one is destruction of minerals in food production, packaging, preservatives, and toxins. Yep. The increase of incidence of disease and the declining health of the world population. We're sick. Our population is ill. Number 5, destruction of live enzymes in food preparations. Next one is weak digestions. Sometimes our digestions are so weak, we can't pull the nutrition out of our food, and our stomach pulls those out.
Can we back up one for just a second?
Sure.
Destruction of live enzymes in food preparations. What diet did the Lord give us in the Garden of Eden? All raw, correct? So in the books of Exodus and Deuteronomy, when God told Moses to tell the children of Israel, if you'll follow all of my health principles and all of my health laws, I will keep you well, and I will also heal your sickness. Which health laws and principles was the Lord pointing to?
A meat-free diet?
Well, it would be all raw. The same thing as what he gave us in the Garden of Eden. One of the reasons we promote juicing is because of the nutritional deficiency in soil. You can, for instance, I really like spinach. Back in the 40s, they did a study that we'll talk about a little bit more. But if I was going to get the same nutritional value in spinach today as what was in spinach in the 1940s, I would have to eat 15 bowls of spinach.
All right, so hang on with
I can't eat 15 bowls of spinach, but I can juice it, and I can still get the same nutritional value.
Spinach is not something I usually juice because there's not a lot of juice in it. You can take one of those great big things full and put it through your juicer, and you probably only have about that much juice. But
I was just using that as
I'm sorry. Okay.
I was just using that as an example of.
Okay. Yeah, he loves spinach.
I'm not a big fan of kale, but I like spinach.
Yeah.
Kale juice is better, but.
This one here, he's speaking of raw food, and we should always be pushing that envelope. This is what Brian Clement, he's the director of Hippocrates Health Institute. Take special note of this, and if you want to copy, you want to take a picture of this, this is a good reminder. He stated that in a recent study of people enrolled in the Institute's program over a 15-year period, attendees who stayed on a 75% raw food program with 25% cooked easily stayed well. Yet when their raw food intake went down to 70% raw with 30% cooked, they found their immunity dropped by 17%. Finally, they found that if the raw percentage went down to 65% with 35% cooked, immunity dropped 48%. So you think about someone like our carpenter. How much immunity does he have? Well, he's drawing on his youth. And over time, we can see the writing on the wall, can't we? We have to remember that eventually we start to break down. We can be doing pretty good, and then we have an outside stressor like COVID or like divorce, or you don't know what it can be, but we'll get that immune system to break.
You probably cover this in another slide in just a moment, but Ellen White says that had God not created
Would
Adam,
it be this quote here?
Carry on.
Okay, so if Adam at his creation had not been endowed with 20 times as much vital force as men now have, the race with their present habits of living in violation of natural law would have become extinct. I think we're right on the edge. Do we know Jesus is coming soon, though? Are we looking forward to it every day? But are we doing the things that we need to do to get ready for it? Because we have storms coming up ahead. Are we preparing for those storms coming up ahead? Things, when it comes on us, if we're not preparing, it's going to come up unawares. Okay, so here you go, sweetheart. We're going to talk about the depletion of minerals in the soil. Go
So
ahead.
I jumped the gun just a little bit, didn't I?
That's okay.
Yeah. So a study from 1940 to 1991 by David Thomas, study comparing nutritional value of fruits and vegetables over a 51-year period. The result of comparing data available in 1940 with that in 91 demonstrates that in every subgroup of foods investigated, there has been a substantial loss in their mineral content. The losses broken down by mineral content are as follows. Loss of 49% of their sodium, 16% loss potassium, 24% loss of magnesium, 46% loss of calcium, 27% loss of iron, and 76% loss of copper. And one of the reasons that's significant is copper represents your minerals, trace minerals.
And trace minerals is basically what gets us well, and we're all severely overall deficient in magnesium. So that study was 33 years ago. 33 years ago, what that is saying is that we had a serious decline, had no nutritional value in our soil at that time for some of those things. The last one reflected the bringing in of the nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. So if you'll notice back here, here it is right here. If you'll notice potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen, they're higher. But that's because that's the only thing that the farmers are putting back into the soil is these three things. And we've got to get to the point where we put our own trace minerals in our soil if we can. Having our own gardens is the answer. Not everybody can do it, but it's an issue of prayer. Yeah. Sometimes I get calls from people, they don't have this, they don't have this, they have this challenge and this challenge. And my answer is, let's have prayer. But this is an issue of prayer. Take it to the Lord in prayer. This is what we're up against.
And that's one of the reasons we promote doing as much as you can organically. If you can find a local farmer's market where people are doing their own gardens and it's not going through the big process of having to go through Walmart or Kroger or something like that, we highly recommend that. However, she wasn't doing organic when she got well because we just couldn't find what we needed to organically. So all the Lord expects us to do is the best we can.
He makes up the
best we can afford. And the Lord will make up the difference. You put forth your effort the best you can, no matter what your effort is, the Lord will make up the difference and He will reward you for it.
That's right. He's watching. He's watching. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about this tool of how to juice. And again, this is a very precious tool because sometimes people juice and they don't do it the right way. They might drink all their carrot juice in the morning and say, hey, I wasn't able to remove my breast tumor. They do carrot juice. Thank you, sweetheart. So I have found that the best way to do it, to do your juices, is 1 cup every hour. Drink 1 cup every hour. And that helps you have nice, steady sugars, blood sugars. And if you drink a whole bunch of carrot juice in the morning, then you go to work, and then you drink it when you get home, it's a continual feeding of the immune system is what the immune system loves. Now, when you juice it, you have all your juice in here, then there's still a problem because we need to remove the fiber. We need to remove the fiber even more. So we need a fine strainer. We need to get a fine strainer and strain it again because we want to remove all the pulp. Why do we need to remove all the pulp? Isn't fiber good for you? Insoluble fiber. Isn't it good for you? Isn't this fiber good for you? Why do we need to strain it out of our juices? We strain it out of our juices. Well, okay, what is fiber? It's an intestinal broom. So our intestinal broom needs to be there when we're eating. But when we're juicing, we're trying to create an effect, and that is to drive that immune system up. And so if we give it a continual feeding, I knew of one man, he was a young man, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And so he worked at Loma Linda. My mother's sister, worked at Loma Linda as a nurse, and she'd see this young man come in to work, and he'd have his little container, his little cooler. Every now and then he'd pull out his juices and drink his juices, and it wasn't long before he was well from prostate cancer. Okay, so we remove the fiber because we want to be able to feed the immune system every hour. Now, why can't we do it with the fiber in there? Well, because fiber requires the digestive process. That's why a smoothie has to be considered a meal replacement. It's a good kick in the morning. It's a good way to start your day. It's a whole lot better than boxed cereal, but it's still not going to be to the level of juices when you remove the fiber and you're able to juice your juices all day long. When you have a serious condition and you really, really need to turn your immune system up, this will turn your immune system up. Okay.
Something else really important too about juicing. There's 2 different types of fiber in our nutrition, in our fruits and vegetables that we take in. One is the insoluble. The insoluble fiber would be if you ate a nice big salad, and that is the broom that sweeps your intestine and colon. But there's also soluble fiber, and there's a whole lot more soluble fiber in a juice that goes into your bloodstream. And the soluble fiber does the same thing in your arteries as what the insoluble does in your intestine and colon.
Amen.
So juicing is really good to help keep your blood system clean as possible.
Okay, so thank you, sweetheart. So with the juices, put it in a pint jar. Don't put it in a quart jar. Have you ever juiced carrot juice and then you put it in a big jar and then pretty soon you look back a couple hours later and it's dark? You put it in a jar like this, you drink it half of it the first hour, half of it the second hour. And if you drink like 5 during the day, you're going to turn your immune system up. If you're not used to doing juices and you drank 5 throughout the day of 1 cups, you're going to notice a big difference in detox by the end of the day, big time. Okay, but you want to put it in this because when I do juices, I'll take it, I'll fill it to the absolute top with the strainer. I'll put this in right here. Then I put the strainer right on top of that, and I just pour. And then when I get it to the very top, I'll slide my little canning lid across there, and it's got a perfect seal. And that keeps for up to 3 days. 3 days is how I got well.
Keep it in the refrigerator.
That means basically you don't have to pull your juicer out every single time. The Lord's very gracious. Yes?
No air.
Yeah, no air.
So the air, you want to make sure you don't have any air in your jar, and that will make your juice keep.
Okay, so this you can put in your cooler, take it to work. Anytime you drink something, you just pull it out. I don't know of very many occupations where you wouldn't be able to do that. I'm sure there are some. But again, the Lord is very gracious so that you have a challenge that you can meet that challenge. There's a way to do it. Anybody have any questions about how we did that? How we do that?
I can remember as a kid, sometimes kids are always wondering what time it is. And my grandpa always said, "What, you taking medicine? You remember back in the day, some of the medicines that the doctor would give you, it was regimented on the time of day that you took it. And so this is your medicine. Take it, like my grandpa would say, what time is it? What, are you taking medicine? Yep, taking medicine, Grandpa.
Okay. So, smoothies are good.
Oh, we have a question right over here.
Yes.
Okay.
Juicing if you're
The question is,
immunocompromised.
what if you're immunocompromised?
Yes. Yes. With modern medicine, when you have an autoimmune disorder, they will give you a chemotherapeutic agent. My father-in-law has rheumatoid arthritis, and he's on methotrexate, or he was on methotrexate. And so that is a chemotherapeutic agent. That's to drive your immune system down because it will stop attacking the body. That's what autoimmune disorders do. They attack the body. You correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, okay? All right. So what we've got to do in the holistic world is we got to get the body alkaline so it stops attacking itself. My father-in-law, he started doing some flushing, liver flushing, which we'll show you how to do a liver flush here in a little bit. Those are very powerful to just kind of launch your program forward. But my father-in-law, he loved to tease us, and so when we'd stub our toe or something, he'd come in and say, "Don't you think one of them liver flushes would fix that?" So he decided one day, okay, I'm going to try one of those liver flushes. And so he did a liver flush, and he passed so many stones in that liver flush that that next month he was able to get off of methotrexate for a while. He never did another liver flush for years, but he's hit and miss. So
I believe if I heard you correctly, did you have a So she's had so in her case, she's had a transplant.
Okay, you've had a transplant.
And so she has to take medication so that her body doesn't reject what was transplanted.
That's a difficult one. You can't get off those anti-rejection drugs. Not unless the Lord has a different answer. Take it to the Lord in prayer, but I see no other answer because your body's always going to see that organ as an invader, and it will always want to try to get rid of that organ. Yes, and I'll put you on my prayer list. I wish there was a better answer, but I mean, once you start putting foreign things in your body's going to try to deal with the way that it always does it. So we got to be careful what we put in our body. There is nothing political about what we put in our body. It's always spiritual. Everything we put in our body is spiritual. Go ahead.
Should she go ahead and do a juicing program?
I would go ahead and juice. I would go ahead and juice and just talk to your doctor about it. Tell him that you're juicing, and see if the anti-rejection drugs, still work okay. And it might be very good for your organs. Might be very good for your organs too.
Yeah, because the rest of your body would benefit very much from getting on a juicing program. So there might be just a proper balance that you have to find so that you can give your body as much nutrition as possible without creating other issues.
Dr. Lorraine Day says if you have a failing organ, you heal the organ so that you don't have to have a transplant. Now, I know it's a little late for this situation, in your situation, but just remember that God loves you and He's coming soon, and that He's going to help you make it through to the end. And that's what we have to remember. There's times when I talk to a client on the phone and I don't have an answer for them. And so we pray together and we do the best we can. And sometimes that's what we have to do. Okay, so when it comes to healing, there's got to be 3 legs to every program. It's not just juicing. But one, there's the juicing, or sometimes all raw, or you can also have a healing program by doing 85% raw and 15% cooked. Remember that statistic that I just showed you with Brian Clement. The next one is going to be your herbal regime. A good herbal regime is very important. The one I got well on is Dr. Christopher's Incurables program. Very powerful and very laid out, so I could follow it very easily. And then we know the 8 laws of health is very important. Does everybody here in this area knows what the 8 laws of health are? Everybody know what the 8 laws of health are? Okay. All right, so the 8 laws of health, we're going to be nutrition, exercise, pure water. We're going to talk a little bit about what water to drink, because water is very important. Our water is so contaminated now. We need to know what to do about water. Sunshine, temperance, air, fresh air.
Are you going to talk any about sunshine?
What did I say?
No, I was just
Yeah,
wondering if
sunshine.
you were going to talk a little bit about sunshine.
Definitely.
Okay.
Air. R stands for
Rest.
rest.
Sleep.
Fresh air, rest, and then also having a good, forgiving spirit. Sometimes people have something in their heart that they can't forgive. The people that we can't forgive they're not being punished by that. We're being punished by that. So we're held prisoner by the people that we can't forgive. If you want to do something for yourself, go ahead and forgive them and let the Lord give you some indifference to the situation and heal your body. Don't let that stand between you and healing. Okay. The power of fasting. It allows digestive rest. 30 to 35% of your body's energy now can go toward digesting our food. So fasting is very important. Autophagy, we understand that. Eliminating the violations. If a person starts a juicing program and they still continue to eat at McDonald's, then it's like shooting yourself in the foot. You're not going to stick with it very, very long. So you've got to jump on board with your
One of the
diet.
things too about juicing, some people are so toxic, it's very difficult to start juicing. We had a lady come to our place one time, and Linda shared some juices with them, and they just took a small sip, and their taste buds had been
acclimated to
such a toxic
That's right.
diet and lifestyle that when they tasted the juice, it was like, oh, that's the most horrible thing I've ever tasted.
That's very true. We're going to crave the foods that we're used to. If we have an acid condition of our body, we're going to crave acid foods. If we're alkaline, we're going to crave alkaline foods. And if we have an acid condition of our body, remember that we can train our taste buds. Our brain can be in control. We have to retrain our taste buds. Now, our carpenter, I can tell you right now, he's got an acid condition in his body that he has. It's very serious, too. If we have one that's bad and we can't eat anything but... Now, here's one thing I've also discovered. If a person's alkaline, they might come in and they might pick up something of ours, that's not that tasty, a tincture. They might take it, but it's not very good. No big deal. Then you take someone who's very toxic. Ooh, I can't do it. They have a very small window of things that they can take. So remember that being alkaline is what helps you stay free from disease. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about the different fasts. Water fasts, I never recommend it. Society is too sick to do a water fast, unless you do it for just an afternoon. Or we can do a water fast just from the noon meal to nothing till the next morning. That kind of water fast you can. But long fasts, water fasts just are not doable by society overall. We had a gentleman that I met at church, and he told me he's been doing some water fasting, but he's getting ready to go on a long juice fast for 10 days. So I said, well, if you're going to go 10 days, that's the hardest part. Why not go 30 or 40? That's the easy part, because once your digestion shuts down, you can go 20, 30, and 40 days. It's that first 10 days that's the difficult part. And he did, and guess what? He got rid of his colon cancer. Okay, so then the juice fast is always recommended, but then there's also, so back to the juice fast. The juice fast, you can do juicing by juice in the morning, do a drink in the morning when you get up, drink midday. Also, you can eat a noon meal and nothing after the noon meal until the next morning. You can just juice in the evening. So you can stagger your juices and still have time for the digestion to rest. It's when our digestion is resting that we heal our bodies. Okay? Nothing after the noon meal. Also, I knew a man who had rheumatoid arthritis. He juiced 2 days a week, nothing but just juice for 2 days, and he was able to overcome his rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, a 10-day juice fast, that's also very easy to do. But again, the easy part's after that. That's what I found, and I've seen it happen. Your digestion just shuts down. You sleep the most deep and peaceful sleep. Your aches and pains go away. You have, did I say you have profound rest at nighttime? Your anxiety goes away. You feel good. When you sit down in a chair, you feel good. So
you wake
there's-
up very rested.
very rested. And if you think about it, you don't realize just how uptight and tense you are and how toxic your bodies are until you actually get to that state and you think, wow, I'm feeling so good now. I didn't realize what feeling good felt like. Okay, so how to heal without juicing. Not everybody's going to juice. Not everybody's going to go out and get a juicer, even though I want to tell you that if you prepare to get one now, if a crisis comes along, you can pull it out. You can put it up on a shelf somewhere and pull it out. You'll have it there in case you ever need it. But if you don't have the juices, there are certain things you can do. And number one is eliminate the violations you know of. I can talk to a person on the phone, and within minutes, they're telling me what they need to give up, and I don't even need to say a word. So eliminate what you do know of, and be willing to work with the Lord. Remember, you were bought with a price, that you're under obligation. I'm under obligation. He's under obligation. How we treat our bodies is very precious to the Lord. Okay, study the natural remedies. Study to show thyself approved unto God. A lot of people know nothing about the natural remedies. Nothing. Number 3, ask God to work with you and act as your great physician. Sometimes we go to the doctor, we get a diagnosis, we decide what we're going to do, and then we go home and we tell the great physician what we've already decided. Sometimes we need to pause. Say, doctor, I need to go home and I need to pray about this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I'll let you know. Pause and take that time to go to the Lord in prayer. Eat an abstemious diet. Overeating and eating in between meals. It's been so tough for me to give that one up, is eating in between meals. So eating in between meals always starts those digestive processes up. And so digestion is something that I always suffered with. I was in a bad marriage. I had all these things, digestive woes when I first got married to him. I'd walk around holding my tummy because it was quivering, it was spasming, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't lay on my back. And so I had to walk around the house in the middle of the night in just incredible pain. So
our marriage is much better now. No, she's talking about her ex.
Yeah, I practice what I preach once in a while. Okay, so be an herbal tea drinker. There's a lot of good herbal teas out there. Have you ever heard of Essiac tea? Essiac tea is a combination that's good for cancer. You may not have cancer, but guess what? There's herbal things that you can drink to keep from getting cancer. There are juices that you can drink to keep from getting cancer. There's things that you can do to ward things, head things in the right way.
Can I interject something here just a second? No.
Go ahead.
So this goes along with the principle that we learn from the Bible, where the Lord says, if you will follow my health messages, or if you will follow my health laws, I will keep you healthy. So I used to have headaches real frequently. Would it make any sense for me to take Tylenol or ibuprofen before I got a headache?
No.
No, so what I do is I do the natural remedy, which for me was just drinking more water, keep my body hydrated, and I haven't had a headache in a really, really long time. But any other aspect of our lives, we don't take chemotherapy to keep from getting cancer. We don't take radiation to keep from getting cancer. That's just one of the principles.
Chemotherapy causes cancer.
Yeah, that's just one of the biblical principles in regard to how to stay healthy God's way.
Okay, so we want to be an herbal tea drinker, Essiac tea. You can Google it. We actually sell it too, but you can Google it. It's very famous. You can find it many places. Make sure you don't buy herbs and loose leaf herbs in powders. Make sure it's got a good, strong aroma, because that's how you know if it's still very effective. If you drink some, if that's all you have, go ahead and use it up and don't throw it away. But make sure that it's in a loose leaf and not powder, because it will last longer. It'll last longer. Okay, so nettles. If you buy nettles all by itself, now we work in formulas because we feel like more than one will round out what you're trying to do. But there are some herbs that are so powerful that we do some single ones. Nettles is one that's very powerful. We have nettles in our superfood because it is so good. Juniper berries, it's an antibiotic for your kidneys. People that have weak kidneys need to be drinking a lot of juniper berries. And cleavers is really good for the stomach. I knew this one lady who had stomach cancer, and she just drank copious amounts of cleavers, and she got over her stomach cancer. And then number 6, eat more raw food. Just push that envelope. Let the salad be the center of your food. And then garnish with holistic cooked food, a baked sweet potato, steamed broccoli, and vegetables. So there's a way to do it so that you're eating a healthier diet and you can maintain your good health.
You know, something you just mentioned, a lady that drank a lot of Cleaver's tea.
Yes.
You can go on the internet and you will find tons of people who did one thing to get well from whatever ailment they had. And that's all good and well, but why not just use all of God's rainbow of natural remedies?
Amen.
Don't just focus on the one thing. You might incorporate that one thing into, and maybe the Lord will lead you into that, but the Lord...
My husband and I have...
When God created, and this was a little bit confusing for me, when the children of Israel were walking around in the wilderness for the 40 years, all they ate was manna. But is that really God's design for forever? You know, that's not how God created the Garden of Eden. You know, we have a rainbow of things that we can partake in.
Amen. Amen. I forgot what I was going to say, but I'll remember here in a minute. Okay, we're going to talk about natural antibiotics. Why do we focus in on natural antibiotics? We focus in on natural antibiotics because taking one course of a broad-spectrum antibiotic will hurt your immune system and take your immune system 2 years to recover. A lot of people think, okay, I don't have a medicine chest, a natural remedies medicine chest, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take an antibiotic. It's very quick. Just pop into my doctor and I'll get an antibiotic. But why not give God first chance? Because again, there's no side effects to the natural remedies. Let's start with number 1, garlic. Everybody that knows me know that I push garlic because nothing can take the place of it. It's a blood-thinning herb, and it is very good for, if there was ever a time in history where we need to thin our blood down, since COVID came on the horizon, we all need to thin our blood down. Okay, so, you know, one of the things about garlic, I can't tell you how many good things about it. It's antiviral, antibacterial, it lowers blood pressure, lowers, they did a study, just one second here. They did a study, Japanese study of women who had breast cancer. The higher the garlic, the lower the breast cancer. It's good for cholesterol. It's good for blood sugar issues. Now, I'm going to address if people can't do garlic. I'll do that in just a second. My husband happens to be one of those people. Chronic kidney disease is rampant. And so we want to make sure, because kidney UTIs can quickly turn into sepsis. And I lost a sister that very way. So we want to make sure that nobody's kidney infection turns to sepsis. We can do something immediately. My mother was a diabetic, so at the beginning of the day when she couldn't keep taking all these, for UTIs, she couldn't keep taking all these antibiotics. So I said, okay, Mom, this is what we're going to do. When you first feel it coming on, we had a tincture of kidney bladder formula. We start with that, kidney bladder, first hour. Second hour, a tablespoon of minced garlic, not pressed, but minced garlic. Third hour, echinacea, and I'm going to show you a little bit about echinacea here in a minute. Fourth hour, back to the kidney bladder. Next hour, garlic. Next hour, echinacea. Next hour, back to by the end of the day, every single time, her UTI was completely gone. And this is for a 75, 80-year-old woman. So my point is this. Wouldn't you rather do this all day long than take a 10-day course of broad-spectrum antibiotic? So also, by the way, garlic is a broad-spectrum antibiotic. It happens to not be synthetic, though. Okay, increases oxygen in your system, but it also it is antibacterial. So everybody that we recommended for COVID, when people would come to us with COVID, we always made sure they were taking garlic because it was thinning their blood. And it was also made sure that people did not go on to get a secondary bacterial pneumonia. So no one went on to develop any of that because they got rid of the COVID the right way. Okay, next one is echinacea. Echinacea is the best immune builder. It's part of Dr. Christopher's Incurables program. It's part of, if you have a low immune system, you've got to do the echinacea. And liquid echinacea is easy access, and I'm going to show you how to do liquid echinacea. Okay, so anything that's going to be hurting the immune system, echinacea. Also, by the way, as far as echinacea is concerned, is it's a specific for strep throat. So if you have strep throat, you want to be doing some echinacea by mouth. Gargling with oregano essential oil, though, would be better. But do both. Do echinacea by mouth, to take it by mouth, and then also do oregano. It's very strong. Next would be juniper berries. It's good for UTIs. Also, it's an antiseptic. Now, you mentioned something about lime juice. Lemons are an antiseptic. Lime is an antiseptic. That means if it's an antiseptic, that means it's not going to let that bacteria adhere to the bladder wall. So you won't be able, if you do lemons every morning when you get up, along with a little bit of cranberry, take a cranberry capsule, then you won't be having UTIs. If you have a propensity for UTIs, you need to be doing this every day. I used to have UTIs. I don't get them anymore, but I had a weakness in my kidneys where I was getting these UTIs very frequently. Okay, so oregano essential oils, also antiseptic, antibacterial, antifungal, antiparasitic. Now, essential oils have to be handled carefully because your stomach can only tolerate 2 or 3 drops. You can do that 2 or 3 times a day. That's also very powerful. We have that also in our COVID kits because oregano, most homes do have oregano. Tea tree oil is also antifungal, antiseptic. You can use that straight without diluting them. And tea tree oil and eucalyptus both can be used straight without diluting them. Then elderberries, I'm going to show you how, right here on the end, we have an elderberry tincture that I'm going to show you how to make here in just a minute so you can take some home with you. Okay, so we're going to show you what are elderberries good for. I know you can see that it's an antibiotic, but okay, we have a study that shows, it's a scientific study that proved that elderberries was good for the H1N1. So this is a good preventive for your family.
Do you all know what H1N1 is? Swine flu.
Okay, so that one everybody can make out of their own home. And I'm going to show you how to make these for your children to keep them healthy. And sometimes we need something sweet to drink. We can make something sweet that has a little bit of lemon in it, a little bit of elderberry in it, and maybe sometimes a little bit of cayenne. And there's a lot of things you can do to tailor-make your drinks for your family that's very healthy.
We have some friends that, how many kids does Jennifer and Todd?
9.
Jennifer and Todd have 9 kids. And they keep all these natural remedies in their refrigerator. And real frequent, well, with 9 kids, there's a lot of stuff coming and going, right?
If you have children and you start giving them the natural remedies, I guarantee you they will be asking for those natural remedies because it just feels good to them. It fits. And they will start asking for them. Mom, tea. Want tea.
Yeah.
And
so frequently these kids will, Mom, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to grab a drink of such and such. And so the kids are self-medicating with natural remedies, which I think is awesome.
Okay, so golden seal is hard to get a hold of these days because it's so expensive. So golden seal, you can get it, but there are some substitutes that you can do, and that's Oregon grape root. It's in berberine. Also barberry, not quite as expensive. And buy these things in bulk and start getting a tub full of herbs that you can put them together, and you can make a single tincture for your whole family for a multitude of things. And I'll give you an idea here in just a minute. Colloidal silver, when people came, when they had COVID, they couldn't breathe. There was this one girl that came to Wellness Secrets. Well, there were many, but I'm just going to pick one out. She had COVID, and the hospital had turned her away. Her oxygen was really low. I don't remember exactly where it was, but the hospital said that it had to be lower before they would admit her. So she came over there, and her sister was talking for her because she couldn't breathe very good, and she couldn't talk and breathe at the same time. So we immediately took her back, put her on our hydrotherapy machine, and we also started doing, put a nebulizer with, we have a nebulizer, we put colloidal silver in it. The colloidal silver is wonderful in the nebulizers. You can breathe them, you don't need to put water in there, just straight colloidal silver, and it's wonderful, soothing for your lungs, and it's also a natural antibiotic for the lungs. It's good for breathing. Everybody needs a nebulizer. Everybody go out and buy a nebulizer now and keep it up and put it up in the shelf in case you need it for the future. Okay.
You don't want to use essential oils in a nebulizer because they're all plastic, and the essential oils will degrade the plastic.
I didn't tell you about this girl. So she came in while she was on the machine. while she was on our hydrotherapy machine. See, hydrotherapy is like a miracle for people that have any kind of lung issue. And so the hot makes your muscles relax. The cold makes your muscles contract. And so the hot and cold going back and forth works like a pump to pump the fluid out of the lungs, and then guess what? They get off the table in just 1 hour and they feel, hey, I am much better. But you can have the proof of it here because of a very simple oximeter. You can see, I'm sure professionals out here know what an oximeter is. We can see that oximeter start to climb. Those numbers start to climb while the person's getting the hydrotherapy. Very miraculous. We don't need more oxygen. We need to get the fluid out of the lungs. We need to get it out, and then the miracle starts to happen. And that's what we need, is we need a miracle. We don't need ventilators. We need a miracle. We need the miracle of hydrotherapy. So if you have a loved one, I know that there are different organizations that goes around and shows people how to do hydrotherapy. Well, I found that when you have hydrotherapy classes, you don't remember, okay, what did they do here? How many minutes here and how many minutes there? And so I have found that you just do the best you can. You apply the hot for as long as you can until it cools down, and you apply the ice-cold cloth until it warms up a little bit, and you just alternate them back and forth. It may not be the perfect way, but it'll still get the job done, and that's what you want. You want to get the job done. Get your on one side, your bowl of ice water, and on the other side, a microwave or boiled water, and you just start alternating them back and forth. And this is how my husband saved my life when I had COVID. This is the way you save your loved one's life. Then you come in with a good herbal regime. This girl that came in and her oxygen was real low. We gave her a good herbal regime. We told her what to do. And then she went home. She did it. We never saw her again, except we heard through the grapevine that she was doing great.
And she went back to work within just a few days.
Yes. Now,
don't tell her boss, because she was supposed to take 2 weeks off. But
now, when it comes to the natural remedies, we never had a situation where someone was so bad that they were not on the other side of it in 2 to 3 days. I can tell you 2 of them that I know were very, very ill, but they were both on the other side of it in 2 to 3 days. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't have a time period where they had to go home and continue to rebuild, but they knew they were well on the way. And that's the natural remedies for you, and that's the Lord at work. We want to stay out of the hospital if we can, don't we? Don't we stay out of the hospital? We do. We want to stay out of the hospital because we just want to stay out of the hospital. Okay. All right. So the next one would be apple cider vinegar. It's a good stringent for acne. Eucalyptus essential oil. You can put a couple drops in your nebulizer along with the colloidal silver. Of course, you can breathe the eucalyptus and put that in your salves. Put those in your salves. Okay. So let's talk about some emergency herbal remedies.
Yeah.
So when we moved up to Illinois, we had just come from Wellness Secrets. We moved up to Illinois, and right when we got up there, all these people were coming down with COVID. And I heard that there was this one lady, she was single, living all by herself. She had COVID. And of course, as you know, nobody likes to go around people who have COVID because they don't want to catch it themselves. Understood. But I'd already had COVID. I knew that I had some natural immunity. I was fine with it. That's what we do. My husband and I do. We're around people that are sick, and we just say, hey, we're not going to turn anyone away because the Lord didn't, and we're just going to let the Lord protect us. Okay? So this lady was sick, and I went to see her, and she goes, I have no one. She said it just like that. I have no one. So I said, yes, you do. First off, you've got the great physician. Secondly, I'm here to help you. All you have to do is call me, and I'll come back. But secondly, I'm going to give you something that will give you a lot of peace. Here is an oximeter. So as long as you keep your oxygen above 95, you're going to be fine. You just keep me posted, and it's going to stay above 95. And then I'm going to leave this with you. These cost, well, they've gone up. I just tried to buy some the other day, and they've gone up to $20, $25. I can't remember how much. But you used to be able to buy them for $3 and $5. So they were very cheap. But this is still well worth it to keep in your little medicine chest an oximeter, because you can always test someone's oxygen and to see where they are. We want to keep above 95 if we can. And meanwhile, I showed her how to use the nebulizer. I brought her a nebulizer. These are good missionary projects that churches can start incorporating. We take these emergency things and we go from home to home, and we have members that are sick. We find out about it typically, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what is coming pandemics. And so just too much to cover today. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Emergency, cayenne pepper. We've already discovered the emergencies of cayenne pepper. Heart attacks and strokes, poultices. Okay, poultices. Does anybody have any bandanas at home? Okay, when I got COVID, I caught it in my kidneys. My kidneys were starting to fail because I couldn't shake that fever. Okay, but I was doing the natural remedies. Believe me, I was putting the hammer down. My husband and I both were. So what I did for the kidneys that were starting to fail, I knew it because of the pain. The pain was so intense in my kidneys. So I took ginger, I minced the ginger. Okay, he did. Minced the ginger and minced up some garlic. Ginger and potato. Ginger and potato. And then I rolled up the bandana, and then I had a perfectly good poultice for the outside. Sometimes you have to use poultices, and you have to hit it from the outside, and you have to hit it from the inside. So this is the natural remedies thing. Sometimes when you're not getting the results you want, you have to ask yourself, can I do something on the outside? My mother had issues with her stomach. She called me up one day and she said, honey, I'm going to have to go to the hospital because I've been throwing up all day. I've got an ulcer. And I says, okay, Mom, I'll be right over. I brought her a glass of carrot juice, brought her a couple of those, and I brought her a poultice. The poultice was charcoal, and I think you have this in your packets, charcoal, flaxseed, and water. And I brought it to her. And I put this right over her stomach where the ulcer was. And within minutes, she says, I can smell this medication that I took at one time, and it didn't sit well with me. And I can now smell that medication. Within minutes, she was feeling so much better, and the juices, she was able to keep them down. So emergency was averted. So we can say that the remedies are not emergencies, but are we seeing some emergencies here that we've averted?
Our emergencies with cayenne pepper too.
The emergencies with cayenne pepper, they are not, and the thing is, if you use them in a non-emergency situation, then when you have an emergency, you'll know how to use them. There have been times when I've used them and I had to say, Lord, I know nothing about what I'm doing. I'm not recommending that, but I know the Lord teaches and everything, but what's wrong with preparing? If you can prepare ahead of time, that's the best solution. Okay, so we know that the poultices are very powerful. I got a call one time. I had a friend who he had just been to the doctor. The doctor said, I'm afraid you're going to have to get your gallbladder removed. She says, your gallbladder is gangrenous. And he says, well, I'm 78 years old and I haven't ever had surgery, so I'm not going to start right now. He goes, I got an herbalist friend. And unfortunately, I was his herbalist friend. And so his wife called me up on the phone, and she told me what was going on. And I was like, I've never helped anybody with a gangrenous gallbladder. And so I told her, okay, if he's that determined, here's what, I'll tell you what he should do. Go to the health food store and get every bottle of echinacea that you can get. Not the herbs, not the loose leaf, get the tincture form. And because he didn't live where I was, I had to send him some things. And I said, next, I gave him the liver flush, told him how to do the liver flush. Also, I told him to do the poultice on the outside, and gave him some other instructions to do. And within just a short period of time, I sent him some things, and within just a short period of time, the pain left, and he started passing stones from his liver. And next time I saw him, his cheeks were pink, and he was doing fine. He had saved his gallbladder. So there's very wonderful, miraculous things that can happen. Let me see what other natural remedies we have here. Garlic and echinacea for an acute infection. Garlic, you want to always throw in. My husband and I, we came up with this philosophy. A lot of times say, well, people are sick with something, they'll say, well, I tried that. I tried that. Well, we don't try it, we stack. If echinacea isn't working, well, you add the garlic to it. If those two aren't combined, don't work, we'll add the juniper berries. If that doesn't work, we'll add this. Throw everything at it. Then you start getting the results. Sometimes people aren't doing enough. Another way that people aren't doing enough is they'll have a bottle of echinacea or they'll have a bottle of something, but it's not a liquid tincture. It's capsules. You get these whole leaf herbs in capsule form, and they're about 1/12 the strength of one dosage of a tinctured bottle of a liquid. Now, loose leaf is fine if you're making it yourself, but in a little capsule, you're only getting that much. It's not going to have much healing power. So if you've got some capsules at home, I'm not going to tell you to throw them away, but I'm just going to say they're not going to be as effective, not nearly as effective as something that's liquid. That's why I told them to make sure you get liquid. Liquid is completely different.
And the reason it's more concentrated is the same principle of juicing. You can get more of the nutritional and medicinal properties when it's in a liquid form because it's a whole lot more concentrated.
Okay, lobelia is wonderful for relaxing all of the system, but it's also good for the lungs. When we have somebody who comes in that's difficult, this is one of these tinctures that we have all by itself. Lobelia is good all by itself. Lobelia also is good for asthmatics. It'll help bring a person out of an asthma attack. So again, there's an emergency herb right there. Lobelia helps people cough things up. It's a wonderful expectorant. Charcoal, good for stomach pain. And of course, everybody needs to have charcoal in their little medicine chest. Always put charcoal in there, especially if you're going to travel. Aloe vera is very good for burns. That's another medicinal thing to have on hand. Ginger is really good for motion sickness, but it's also really good for pain. Sickness, when you're sick at your stomach, is very powerful. And then cabbage. Cabbage is really good for stomach ulcers. So we want to be sure and do juiced cabbage, but don't try to drink it all by itself. It's horrible. You want to drink it with carrots. Put some carrot juice with it. I've had plenty of experience with cabbage, and if you try to start drinking it alone, you might accomplish it, but you won't do it again. Okay, so pain remedies. We're dealing with a lot of pain, aren't we? So I get customers that call me up on the phone, and they have all this going on. They have so many aches and pains, and guess what? After a while, the pain medication that they're getting from the doctor is no longer working. So we suffer the laws of diminishing returns. You have to keep taking more to get the same effect, and then pretty soon we're hooked. And then guess what? We never address the original pain. When we have pain, we have a reason why we have pain. What's the reason for the pain? The reason for the pain is because something in your body is inflamed. So we got to pull out the inflammation. We got to find out if it's back pain or whatever. We got to try the remedies to get over the pain. Magnesium, how much magnesium are you taking? Again, hitting it from the outside in an Epsom salt bath. And you can also use magnesium chloride. Also taking magnesium glycinate by mouth is very important. Hot and cold showers. If you have a lump in your breast, guess what? You're dealing with inflammation all around that lump. So you need to do hot and cold on the lump in your breast. I did a lot of hot and cold. 1 minute hot, 1 minute cold, 1 minute hot, 1 minute cold. For 7 times, you're doing hydrotherapy on your body. You have a bad back, get in the shower, 1 minute hot, 1 minute cold, 1 minute hot, 1 minute cold. So hot, this is addressing the problem. Also, when people get on pain medications, one of the things I have to point out, and that is that it's devastating to the immune system. And so when someone calls and we have to address the original problem, we have to address first off, the first thing we do is we try to get the body healthy. But then the difficulties are going to be getting off the medications. Okay. Next is juicing. Okay, I have found that when you start juicing, it will pull out inflammation out of your body not like nothing else. Now remember, pain follows inflammation. You get the inflammation out, and guess what? Your pain's going to start going away. 50% of your inflammation in just a week. All right, so the next one is ginger. It's really good for pain in your joints. You can use it topically in a poultice. Remember, use it in a poultice. And you can take these bandanas and tie them. Put the poultice in there, put it in the middle, wrap it up. You can put it around the neck, You can put it anywhere. So bandanas are very good for any kind of poultice that you can use. And they're thin enough to where they'll let the juice come through so that you can put it wherever the pain is. So that's what you want. You want that juice to come through. If you have arthritic pain, you can tie it around your hand with ginger. Put ginger in the middle. Okay, so there we have that. Potato, it's good for pain in the tissues. But if you don't know and you can't remember, mix them together. That's what I did. I mixed the potato and the ginger together. It works perfectly fine. Garlic is an anti-inflammatory and a broad-spectrum antibiotic. We know about that one. You can take up to 25 cloves of garlic a day, because this is what they did at Hippocrates, is taking cloves of garlic that many times every day. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass around the garlic. Diane, could you pass? Do you have it ready? She's going to pass around the garlic, because it's not garlic all by itself. When you eat garlic with an apple, then it diffuses the pungency of the garlic, and you can eat many cloves of garlic in one day. So she's going to pass it out. We chopped it up, and we're going to pass that around.
That's one of the ways.
What's that?
That's one of the ways.
Yes, that's one of the ways. Another way is if you press garlic, then it's going to open it up too much, and you're going to throw it up. And I know, because I can speak from experience, because I did a lot of garlic when I had the lump in my breast. So if you mince it, though, then you put it on a spoon, put it in your mouth, and you just, what did I do with the garlic, sweetheart?
It's right there.
Where?
By your mouse.
Oh, okay, so you want to clean a whole quart full of garlic. Just clean it and put it in here, and that'll be your dosage for the week. Okay, garlic for the week. But this is your dosage for the day. You notice it's minced up. So then every time you go by it, you take a teaspoon or a tablespoon, however much you can tolerate. You drink it with water without chewing it. Now, if you chew it, then you're going to have garlic breath. But if you just put it right in your mouth, drink it with water, it's going to go right down, and you won't have the garlic breath. Now, does everybody hear that? Okay, so you want to put it in your mouth, drink it with water, no chew. Once you chew it, you're going to have garlic breath. And that's typically why people stop doing garlic, is because they don't want to have garlic breath. But today's an exception, because you're going to be in good company. Okay. All right, so also the next one is going to be a change in your diet and lifestyle, because basically most of the time we eat our inflammation. What are some inflammatory foods? Tomatoes. That's not the top of my list. Dairy, sugar, wheat, absolutely wheat. Why wheat? It's adulterized, is exactly right. It's been hybridized. And now it's a toxin, which I hate, because don't we all love wheat? Let's have a pity party, because we all love wheat, and we can't do wheat if we're trying to get healthy, because it's inflammatory in the body. So we got to do alternate grains if we can. If not, well, you could eat it less. Sourdough still has wheat, but it is better. The fermentation, I'm for the culture. I'm for the culture, but it's still not the ideal would be to avoid it completely, because with the hybridization process, it now contains a starch called amylopectin. Amylopectin now, it measures 10 points higher on the glycemic index than sugar. So the ancient grains are perfectly fine. There's emmer, einkorn, and then of course there's alternate grains too, like quinoa, amaranth, also millet. So all of these alternate grains work really good. Amaranth is an earthy taste, but if you season it right, then it's actually very good.
What about spelt?
Okay, black seed oil. Some people are taking that for COVID. Okay, also you want to detox your body. If you have a toxic body, you're going to be filled with inflammation. So if you've never done a detox, now's the time to do a detox. Fever baths. I'm going backwards a little bit because I got fever baths, bowel cleanse. Now, let's see, we're talking about lifestyle. We want to add one thing. We talk about the organs of elimination, getting them open. It's better to exercise and eat poorly than it is to eat good and not exercise. So remember that, always push that envelope. Remember, we're always trying to push the raw envelope. Now let's push that exercise envelope too. Try to find ways to get in, because when you're walking, you're exercising your lymphatic muscles. What are your lymphatic muscles? It has two muscles. What are they? Calves. Also the lungs. So when you're walking, you're exercising both of those lymphatics. So you're getting those poisons out. You're dumping the lymphatic trash. Okay, so for a detox, the one I went on was Dr. Christopher's Incurables program. And I like it because when I got it, I didn't know anything about what I was doing. And it was mapped out in a daily routine to where I could follow it easily. And I would recommend that for anyone. We actually, because it worked for me, we actually carry it as well. But there are other detoxes out there that are perfectly fine, and they work. And you can start, if you don't do a full body detox, start with a good bowel cleanse. Get those bowels cleaned out. One of the things that Dr. Christopher found is that when people would come to them, they would, no matter what they had, they would put them on the bowel cleanse. And a lot of times people didn't have to do anything else because they just got the bowels cleaned out first, and then everything else just fell into place. So if nothing else, clean out your bowels. We have a colon hydrotherapy machine. He's a colon hydrotherapist, and so am I. We find that you can remove things with the colon hydrotherapy that have been in there for a while. So
what are your organs of elimination that you want to make sure are good, clean, and working properly? Lungs? Liver? Kidneys? Bowels? What's our largest organ of elimination? Skin. So it's important to do some real good sweating. One of the things that Linda could not do when she was sick, and previously she couldn't sweat. But after she got well and after she got her body back in good shape, she could sweat again. So it's really important to be able to sweat good.
You ever hear people say, "Oh, I hate water"? Well, I've heard it plenty of times. If you run into somebody who hates water, that's a person that doesn't exercise. Because when you exercise, you love water, because nothing can take the place of water. How much water do we need to drink every day? That's right, half our body's weight in ounces every single day. And so many reasons why. Again, that's to keep the fluidity of the lungs. Also the fluidity in between the spaces in the back. Also the arteries. Did I already say the arteries? Mm-hmm. So for a lot of reasons, we need to keep we need to keep that water flowing in and flowing out.
I think there's been a number of tests that explain the average, more than the average American person is chronically dehydrated. Most of us are dehydrated, and we just don't know it. We've lived that way so long, we don't realize we're dehydrated. You could drink a gallon of water a day under just normal circumstances, and it would do your body wonders. And it's not too much.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about baths. Have you noticed you go to a motel these days and they're eliminating baths because people don't take baths anymore? Well, I take baths. I take them every day because it keeps your skin open. Our skin, you can eliminate up to 35% of your body's toxins just through your skin. When we had people come to us with COVID and they were long haulers, guess what we would do? We'd put them in the sauna. And one trip to the sauna where they would do 15 minutes hot, 5 minutes cold shower, 15 minutes hot, cold shower, 15 minutes hot, cold shower, their long haulers was gone. Every single time. It was just like magic because you can eliminate so much through your skin, and those virins were coming out through the skin. So sweating is very important, but when we take baths, these things come out through the skin. We take a bath, it opens up the skin, and that makes a huge organ of elimination for you to get rid of the poisons in your body. People say, but I can't take a shower, I can't take a bath because then I'm soaking around in my own filth or whatever. I can't remember how they say it. But in reality, if that happens, you feel like you need to, well, go ahead and stand up and then rinse off and then get out. But don't rob yourself of taking a bath if you can do it. Certainly do this if you have the ability to do it.
How hot should the water be when you take a bath?
As hot as you can tolerate.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you take a bath, take a hot bath.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to have a question and answer quiz, and I'm going to give away some gifts. Okay, the first one, and which herb is good for raising the thyroid levels? And you got to write it down. Everybody's got the first one now.
She didn't explain it real well. You're taking a test. This is a quiz. You're going to write down the answers. No cheating.
Okay, I didn't make that clear, Doris. Did I? I ought to give her that point.
Yeah. So everybody gets the first one. It's a given.
Okay.
So no cheating from your neighbor, and
Okay.
whoever gets the most right at the end, she's going to have a prize for you.
Okay. All right, the first question is,
Iodine.
what herb is good for raising the thyroid levels? We see a lot of Hashimoto's now. What do you need to do for your thyroid, to bring your thyroid up? No, we're going to let you eat. Okay, number 2, what is considered the best herb for brain health? Brain health. Number 3 is, what is the best herb for circulation? Let me know if I'm going too fast. Number 4 is, give me 2 anti-clotting herbs or food. If you don't have the 2 that I have, not a big deal. I will still accept it. Number 5, give me 3 anti-cancer herbs. Now, not everybody's going to catch all these, but we'll just see who has the most. Sometimes we get down to 1 or 2. Okay, so number 6, what is considered nature's strongest antibiotic? Next one is, give me an antispasmodic herb. Number 8, an antiparasitic herbs. 1 or 2. Give me 1 or 2 if you can do it. We're living in a day where everybody's got parasites. We need to get rid of those parasites. Next, 2 herbs for relaxation. And number 10, what is the best herb for depression? I see several of you taking a picture so you can refer back to it. Sometimes when you're on the spot, you can't always think. Okay, do I need to give you guys another minute? Are you ready to find the answers? And then we'll see who had the most. Are we ready now? We ready for the answers? Okay, people that have a low thyroid, have you tried iodine? We need to try iodine. That's thyroid food, iodine. Number 2, ginkgo biloba. Just drinking ginkgo biloba can give you better circulation in your brain. It's good for people who've had strokes. Very good. Number 3 is cayenne pepper. Now, cayenne pepper, we all know that one. Everybody knows that about cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper doesn't necessarily thin the blood, but it's a stimulant. Remember, it stimulates the circulation. Sometimes we need that. People need to keep one over their headboard when they're sleeping. Sometimes you wake up and you feel like you're dizzy or you're not breathing right. Cayenne pepper is good to have everywhere. Number 3, garlic, ginger, and lemon. Number 4 is going to be, let's see, what are the questions here? Garlic, ginger, and lemon. Digestive, 3 digestive herbs. That's number 4. Number 5 is going to be, what are the 3 anti-cancer herbs? And number 6 is going to be, that could be blood thinners. These are blood thinners. Echinacea and garlic are blood thinners. The next one is going to be, what is an antispasmodic? It's going to be lobelia. Number 8, if a person has asthma in your family, you need to have a tincture of lobelia or something in it. Black walnut, wormwood, and cloves. What is that? That's for parasites. Next one is, this is good for sleep. It's good for anxiety. Valerian root, hops, and chamomile. Very good. And 10. What is the depression herb? It's going to be St. John's wort, hands down. Okay. How many got 10? How many people got 10? How many got 9? He did. How do you give him one?
He's taking a picture.
Go ahead and give him one. All right, how many got 8? Okay, we got an 8 back there. And over there. You want to come up and get it? Or somebody? This here is our infection. It's Dr. Christopher's formula, but we don't carry it anymore. We're eliminating it, but it still works really good, so we're just going to give them out today. Okay. How many got 7? You got 2? Oh, we're not there yet. How many got 7? 6?
Lady over here got 7. She got 7.
Okay, here we go. I used to play softball. I can do it if you can. My husband never lets me throw it. Okay, 6. How many got 6? All right, do you want to come forward and get it?
She got 8.
How many got 5? Okay, so there's one, and he's got one, and she's got one. Do you want to come up and get this?
How many?
5.
5.
Thank you.
Yes, you bet. Let's go back to the questions. There we go.
We go by the honor
All right, so
system.
we're going to go
We
down
trust
one
you.
more. How many got 4? All right, so there's a lady there, and there's a gentleman back there, another lady there, and a lady back there, another lady there. Do you want to come down here and get it?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
These smell really good, by the way.
Thank you.
Good catch.
And for
What,
my
was it you?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Can you do it? No. Okay. There you go. I hope everybody got one that held up their hands. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit just as a refresher course of detoxification. Hot and cold showers helps you detox. Dry skin brushing, getting that skin open. Enemas, bowel cleansing, taking good herbs to help you. Okay, so how to get off of stool softeners. I'm hearing more and more people taking stool softeners. We have a lot of wonderful herbs that are good for keeping your bowels open. Stool softeners make your bowels weep, and they get you hooked, and pretty soon they don't work. So your doctor will be very relieved if he finds out that you're on a good herbal regime. Okay. Liver flushing. Has anybody here ever done a liver flush? Anybody done a liver flush? Okay, you have. Okay, so her and you guys have done one. Did you pass anything? Okay, all right. So we're going to tell you a little bit about liver flushing. If you have aches and pains up your shoulders and everywhere, you may need to flush your liver. By the time you have any pain in your body, most of the time, you need to clean out that liver. You've got 3,000 to 5,000 stones that are built up in your liver and gallbladder. Now, if you get an x-ray, not an x-ray, a sonogram, you get a sonogram, it's a good chance that it will not show up on there unless your stones are calcified. And the reason why I say that is because this very thing happened to me. This is when I was very sick. I went in and had them test my gallbladder. And they didn't see any stones. But right after that, I started doing liver flushing, and guess what? I passed stones. So Dr. Hulda Clark said that it's like a hose with marbles in it. It doesn't function well unless you get rid of the stones, the sludge, parasites, all these things. People have trouble losing weight. They're not going to lose weight unless they clean out the liver. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this man that came to us. His name was Toly. He was a Russian. But he was only supposed to come there to die in his mind because the doctor told him he didn't have very long to live. And so he came to stay in one of our apartments there at Wellness Secrets. And but he didn't stay there. He came over to our workshop and he hung out there. So we were like, oh, brother, what do we do? He came there and then he's told us his story, that the doctor told him that he didn't have very long to live. And when you put your arms around him to hug him, his stomach was very taut. So he needed some liver flushing. I knew that his liver was in trouble. And so when you have a tummy that's very taut, that means most of the time that you've got some liver issues. And so I said, Toly, I said, would you be willing to do some liver flushing? Because he'd already been doing water fasting. He had been on a water fast off and on for over a month because he felt like that was the only way to survive. But he's still not losing any weight. Can you imagine going on a water fast for almost a month and not losing any weight? That again pointed right to the liver. If you can't lose weight, look to the liver. It's going to be almost always be in the liver. So he said, okay, I'll do a liver flush. He goes, but I don't have any stones. And I said, okay, Toly, let's give it a try. So he did a liver flush, no stones. He came in, Toly, no stones. So I said, Toly, would you try it again? Let's try it again. But because he felt better doing that one liver flush, he says, okay, I'll do it again. Then he came in the next morning and he goes, Toly, no stones. And I said, okay, Toly, fine. Let's try it one more time. Would you do it one more time? And he said, okay. So the third time he did it, he came back in and he goes, stones! He finally got the liver open. He finally got that liver open and all these stones started coming out. And the thing is, we put him on the scale. All of a sudden, every day he'd come in, he'd drop 5 pounds every day after that. All because the liver was blocked off. And so sometimes, a lot of times, not just sometimes, many times, people have an illness, they've got a blocked off liver. They've got to clean out that liver. And when people get on the Incurables program, they don't lose weight or they don't get well, I say, are you doing the liver flushing? Well, you know, that makes me a little afraid. I'm a little scared of doing the liver flush. And I said, stop cheating, get back on doing the liver flushing, and then you'll start seeing some results because as your body starts to decalcify, as it starts to peel that onion, then it's going to start pushing these things out of the liver. And the reason why people don't always pass the stones right off the bat is because guess what? The intestinal flute lines the bile ducts and doesn't let those stones come out. And so therefore, in the recipe, you use Epsom salts that paralyzes that intestinal fluke for a short period of time. Now, when we got married, he had all this referred pain that came up his neck and into his back. And no matter how hard I worked it, there's always that pain. But when you do a flush, and he started doing the flushes with me because I was sick, but he would still do the flushes with me because we knew this was referred pain. I'll tell you how maybe another time. But so he did the flush, and Hulda Clark was a doctor who was into the holistic field as well. And she said that anytime you do a flush, you're only going to remove the stones in the front part of the liver. And therefore, then you don't do another flush for 2 weeks, but over the course of those 2 weeks, then the stones in the back part will then move forward, and you get your original symptoms back. So when we first do the flush, that night, and you do the Epsom salts, all the pain's gone. And it's like clockwork. The pain is gone while you're doing the flush because you're relaxing those bile ducts. And the pain goes away temporarily while you're relaxing those bile ducts with the Epsom salts. So pretty soon, in the very beginning, that pain would only be gone for just a couple of hours. And then pretty soon, next time we do a flush, that would be a little bit longer, and pretty soon the pain was completely gone. My husband passed some stones as big as his thumb. And over the course of 6 months, he passed thousands of stones, and so did I. And Toly, he passed many, many stones. When he left, He brought his wife there. He was Russian. He brought his wife there to Wellness Secrets. And every time he'd come in and he'd leave for the day, he goes, "I love you." And then as he was pulling off, he was so much healthier and he was happy. He'd brought his wife down there. And as they're pulling off, they bought all these detox kits. And as they're pulling off, he's waving off, I love you. It's kind of cute. But anyway, he passed those stones, got them out of his body, and the pain automatically just leaves the shoulders and leaves the back. So much of our pain is held in our back and in our shoulders. The liver flushing is one of the things you can't bypass when you don't know where all that pain is coming from. Get that liver cleaned out. I had our computer guy called us up on the phone and said, "Hey, I spent the whole day yesterday in the ER, and I'm supposed to get my gallbladder removed. Can I save it?" And I said, "Sure." And I gave him the procedure. He did it, and he still has his gallbladder today. A very simple procedure, but you have to do more than one because you have a blocked off liver that's full of stones, and then, of course, it travels down to the gallbladder, and your gallbladder is filled, and your liver, too. A lot of people get their gallbladder removed, and guess what? They only eliminated part of the problem. I've heard of some people who get their gallbladder removed and never once clean their liver after that. So they still had the original problem. I don't know how they survived it because I was highly toxic and I had to do many cleanses. Okay. Then we also have, let's talk a little bit about osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, what are the bones made up of? What is it? People are saying calcium and minerals. Which one's right? Minerals. And we focus in on calcium, but unfortunately, people have about 350% more calcium floating around in their body than it can even absorb. Dr. McDougall said that osteoporosis is caused by too much protein in the diet, not necessarily a lack of calcium. One book I'd like to recommend that everybody read is actually The Calcium Lie, because we focus in on the calcium that we cannot absorb, and people have too much calcium. And where does that calcium end?
In our joints.
In our joints. Where else? In our arteries. Arteries, we don't think about calcium that is going to our arteries. And when we begin to decalcify, what's it decalcifying? Sometimes it's decalcifying calcium. When we have a well water, my husband and I have well water. We did. We had all this inorganic lime that came into our, and so we saw this lime. It's not something that the body can recognize as a nutrient. So we also need to bring in magnesium, make sure that our magnesium is not low. With vitamin D will be low, and vitamin D's job is to move calcium out of your food and into your bloodstream. Keep in mind, if phosphorus levels are too high, they keep the levels low as well. So what are they putting back in our soil? Magnesium. They're putting phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium back in there, so our phosphorus can easily be high, again driving the magnesium low. Okay, things you can do to significantly improve your life. Okay, this isn't a quiz.
No, that's not a quiz.
Okay, number 1, exercise. Number 2 is you bring your raw intake up to 51%. Now, there was a gentleman by the name of Paul Kuchikov. He found out, he was a scientist, he found out that if people would eat just 51% raw, that this process of leukocytosis would not initiate would not launch. But when we eat too much cooked food, then this leukocytosis is an inflammatory response in the body, and it initiates whenever we eat too much cooked food. If we eat just 51% raw, then it will not launch. Number 3, be a label reader and be picky about what you eat. Now more than ever before, we're seeing that bioengineered products are starting to show up on our labels, on the stuff that we've always used. All right, so drink half your body's weight in ounces of water each day, which we're doing that. A lot of people, there was a man by the name of Mangelich. He was in charge, he was a doctor. He was in charge of the Iranian prison during what war, I can't remember, but it was an Iranian war. And he was sent to prison, and his job was to take care of all the prisoners. And he found that the only thing that they gave him to doctor all these people with was water. And he wrote a book called The Many Cries of Water. He found that he could heal almost every single disease just by giving people systematic, not medicated water, but water and taken medicinally. So whether it's a stomach ulcer, whether it's aches and pains, whatever it is, try to make sure you're drinking all your water, especially if you have back pain. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Okay, be an herbal tea drinker. Use a superfood each day or a smoothie. My husband, he doesn't juice. I usually am the juicer, but he does superfood in a glass of water every day, and then he puts different herbs in it. He has his own way of functioning that doesn't require juicing. So make sure that you're doing a superfood. It's easy nutrition. Now, when I mean superfood, does anybody know what I mean by superfood? Okay, so it would be a conglomeration of grasses, which alfalfa, barley, wheatgrass, orange peel. What else? Alfalfa, barley, moringa. And then you mix them all together. You can get these like a superfood in a health food store, although make sure it doesn't have any additives that are really bad. Sometimes they have maltodextrin, which is not that good. We have a superfood, but there are a lot of things. And if you want to make your own superfood, you can mix these things together, put it in an airtight container, put it in the freezer, and store it, and just use that throughout the year. Very easy nutrition. It doesn't cost that much, and it pays you back over and over again. Okay, the next one is switch from table salt to Himalayan salt. Now, table salt has 2 minerals. What are those 2 minerals?
Sodium chloride.
Sodium and chloride. That's why the blood pressure goes up with salt, because everybody's doing table salt. However, bless you, if you switch over to a Himalayan salt, you've got all these minerals that those salts can work together. So Celtic salt also has those minerals. Have a little bit different quotient, but it's still quite a few. Supplement with vitamin D, B12, magnesium, and iodine. You notice there's no calcium on there. Bones are made up of minerals. We want to put minerals in our body. What's the best source of minerals for our body? Is going to be juices. Also, where do we get our electrolytes? I'm just kind of thinking back a little bit. Where are our electrolytes come from? Our electrolytes, there are electrolytes in coconut water, yes, but our electrolytes primarily come from nutrition. It's going to come from juices. The best, so I've heard of people that stopped a juice fast because they felt lightheaded, they went to Gatorade. So the best source of minerals is going to be vegetable juice. So keep that in mind, that's where we want to get our supplements there. And do a yearly cleanse. Some people, again, have never done a cleanse, and so make sure that you do a cleanse. If you don't know how, seek it out, study it, you'll learn how. It's just like me when I started cramming things through my juicer. You learn through studying it and through trial and error. Okay?
And being here at the seminar today, you'll learn some terminology so that when you go on Google, you know, sometimes it's kind of hard to find things on Google unless you just ask the right question or use the right words. And so you'll be learning some of the technical words so that when you want to learn some of these things, it'll be easier to find on Google.
Okay, I thought somebody might want to copy this who has typically UTI problems because this is the routine that I put my mother on. My mother did when she had urinary tract infections. You want to be able to, again, pack your medicine chest with these things so immediately you can pull it out at the first sign of a UTI. Now, I don't know about the women in here who've had UTIs before, but I know from my own experience that the first sign of a UTI is terrible pain. It just comes up immediately, there it is. And if you've got to get rid of it. First sign of a UTI, hit it hard and get rid of it. Doesn't turn into a kidney infection. I had a kidney infection once, and I got rid of it naturally, but I still had to put that hammer down. Okay? Okay, so this is the formula that you want to rotate. whenever you have a UTI. Okay? Next one is kidney failure. This is what you want to do for a kidney failure. Okay, so we have a lady, young lady, her mother's working with us because she has breast cancer. She had breast cancer years ago, and she went conventional, and so this time she wants to go modern. She does not want to go conventional. She wants to do it naturally. So her daughter also was just diagnosed with kidney failure. And so her daughter and she are both working really hard, juicing and doing all the things that she needs to get well. Her daughter just went through this procedure, and she just got a test back from the doctor. Her kidneys are now functioning normal. So your kidneys can recuperate. So we want to do these things to get well from a kidney failure. Don't just go in and believe that you just need to get a transplant. Don't be so quick to go along with this. Say, okay, doctor, I'm going to go home and I'm going to try to regenerate my kidney. We had a lady who she was in our church. She was a health minister, and we heard one day that she had a massive heart attack. And so I went to the hospital to visit her. And while I walked in the door, she and her husband were talking. She made it through. And she was there with her husband trying to decide what to do about, the doctor wanted her to have open heart surgery. So she said, well, doctor, I want to do this naturally. And the doctor says, lady, you're crazy. He goes, I've been a doctor so many years, and if it could be done naturally, I would know. He said, but I'll tell you what, I'll let you go for 15 days. You come back and do a stress test in 15 days, and we'll test your heart and see where your arteries are. We'll put you on a stress treadmill test in 15 days. So they agreed. She went home, and I said, hey, come by our place, get on a juice fast, and do the Incurables program, and then we'll see where it goes. So she did. She came by, and she got started on the Incurables program and a juice fast, and then she didn't eat anything from the moment she left the hospital until she came back 15 days later. She came back in 15 days, got on the stress treadmill test, and then she went back in the room, and she was waiting for the doctor, and he came back in, and he was all smiles, and he said, lady, I have no idea what you did, but whatever you do, you keep doing it, because I no longer recommend that you have open heart surgery. And so this is the miracle of God's remedies. And in 15 days, to think that somebody can clear their arteries out enough to where they don't have open heart surgery, don't need open heart surgery in only 15 days. These are very miraculous things. And so this is what she did. She did the Incurables program 100% and a juice fast. Okay? Okay, so the kidney flush. This is a very good kidney flush that people need to do in the morning. It helps stimulate your kidneys. And remember, lemons are really good for astringents as well as lime. It stimulates the kidneys. And now we're seeing, is everybody done with that? Okay. See that? Uh-oh. Did we get it? Did you guys get it?
Got a few more.
All right, then we're going to do a kidney stone. We're going to talk about kidney stones because now more and more I'm seeing more kidney stones. And my husband has had 2 kidney stones. And once you start developing them, for some reason you keep developing them. And so he's had a kidney stone twice. That's okay. We deal with it naturally. One time, my husband woke up in the morning and he said, honey, I got a pain right here in my heart. And he said the pain, he said, and I had to help him to the chair. So he sat down in the chair and he was fine the night before. Nothing was going on the night before. And no cough, no fever, nothing. And here he was. So I immediately ran and grabbed the cayenne pepper and I put some in his mouth. And then I took his temperature. I wanted to first off make sure it wasn't his heart. Then I went and grabbed the temperature, the thermometer, and took his temperature, and his temperature was 102. Okay, so we're dealing with an infection, but where? No symptoms, nothing. So I got on the phone for 3 days. He was practically comatose all 3 days. Well, he was out of it. Let's just say that, not comatose.
I just slept all the time.
I was pretty out of it. Anyway, he didn't know that I was struggling over there. I was looking on the computer, Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Where is this infection? But it didn't matter. I didn't have to know to treat it. I gave him every natural antibiotic I could outside of garlic. And I hammered it. I would say, open up, honey, and I would give him the natural antibiotics. Every hour, I was putting something in his body. I gave him an enema.
You did use garlic poultice on the bottom of my feet.
I did. We did.
That is a workaround if you're like me and you can't do garlic.
So we were putting the hammer down. Still nothing. Every day, 102, 102, 102. So finally, at the end of third day, I knelt down by his bed and I said, Lord, I have done everything that I can think of to help my husband. And if his fever has not broke by tomorrow morning, then I'm going to go ahead and take him to the ER because I don't want to kill my husband. And so I came back in the room about an hour later, and he was in a full-blown sweat. His fever had dropped from 102 down to 99. After all that work, it paid off, and
it wouldn't have mattered. She wouldn't have been able to drag me to the car.
So what was amazing is after his fever broke, all the infection that was in that left lung came up into the chest and into the sinuses, and he had the worst cough and flu that I had ever seen.
Flu-like symptoms, but yeah, it's a really bad cough.
But then we knew what we were dealing with. And so for 2 weeks, he had to deal with this flu, but we still continued to put the hammer down. And one day I was reading Dr. McDougall, and he said, sometimes people will have pneumonia, and the only symptom they'll have is fever. And they'll go to the emergency room and they'll get treated for that fever, and they'll go home and die. And this, I believe, would have happened to my husband, or it could have happened to my husband, because we put the hammer down, and it was some kind of a very serious bacterial pneumonia. Also, I did poultices on his chest, hot and cold on his chest, because I didn't know where else to treat. I just put poultices on his chest. And it turned out that was the thing to do. So the Lord was very gracious. I spent a lot of time in prayer, but the Lord speaks when we turn to the right hand and when we turn to the left. So I just thought of that testimonial. My husband had another testimony. He's taught me a lot, this man, by just...
I've been sometimes I'm a volunteer guinea pig, and sometimes I just get sick and I'm a guinea pig whether I want to or not.
You complaining?
No, not at all. I'm not complaining a bit. I love the natural remedies.
Another time, he woke up one morning, and I was a medical transcriptionist at the time, didn't have a clue what I was doing except that I had read. I didn't know really what to do, but I had the tools there. He had an appendicitis attack, and he says, honey, I got a pain right here. And so then he let go, and then he just went to the ground. And so we were dealing with an appendicitis attack. And it was painful. And he didn't tell me at the time that he had just urinated like mud.
Well, the day before when I'd go to the bathroom, my urine looked like mud.
So he had been dealing with this, and I didn't know it. But anyway, so I was dealing with an appendicitis attack, and I tried to get him to go to the hospital. I had never dealt with an appendicitis attack. So I did hot and cold again, hydrotherapy on his stomach. I gave him the antibiotics, everything that I could think of, and I gave him an enema. And on the third enema, I gave him catnip tea. And I put it in the bag, and after that, he was able to go. And then emergency was averted. You don't want to do that unless it's not that I'm recommending this, but I'm just saying that we tried it, it worked, and God has been faithful for every remedy we have tried.
Yeah, we only tell that story to let you know just how powerful the herbs are. We fully understand the dangers of what an appendicitis attack can be. So if you do decide to do that, make sure you really know what you're doing, which we did.
How are they going to know if they don't try it?
Well, that's one of the things. You're going to want, like we had some previous experience with a lot of other things, and so you don't want to go into it blind. I mean, definitely go to the hospital and play it safe, unless you just really, really know for sure what you're doing.
Right off the bat, the catnip tea. The catnip tea is supposed to make your appendix purge. So and it worked. It worked great. Another one, what's some of the others that you had, things that you had? He had the gallbladder that we were able to save that by doing the liver flushing. So his gallbladder was really, really ailing at the time. And so we learned through his ailments, and I learned through mine. And it's not so much that we all have to be well in order to prove that we're living right. My husband, he chewed tobacco for 17 years, didn't he?
18.
18 years? Okay, so he chewed tobacco. He used to play in a band. He had long hair and an earring in the ear. I told him, it's a good thing you lost that earring before we met.
And the long hair.
But he treated his body pretty poorly, and then also I did as well. When we met, my husband came from largely a hunter's home, and I came from a strictly vegetarian. My mother was a vegetarian, and her mother was a vegetarian, but I was the one with the lump in my breast. So you can eat poorly and being a vegan, and this is exactly right, what we did. However, I still believe that was the right way to go because I didn't have as many things to correct when I needed to get well. I just needed to flood my body with nutrition. And anyway, God has been very gracious to both of us. I believe that we're all kind of past prevention. We all need to realize that God is the God of restoration. And he restores each life if we give him a chance. Put him back on his throne. Put him back on his throne and let him be the final say of whatever's going on in your life. And he will always reward you. He's reluctant to give that position away to someone else. If he can take you through the natural remedies and say, let's do it this way, he's going to, because he wants to do this without side effects, without someone capitalizing on your misfortunes. So this is God's way. And there is, for those who are Adventists, I'm going to tell you one thing that Ellen White says. There are many ways of performing the healing arts, but there is only one way that heaven approves, and that's the natural products of the earth. And that's the ways that I had just showed you, and the reasons why is because he loves you so much, he has a better plan. And that doesn't mean we don't have a place for modern medicine. We absolutely do. But for those who want to take things a step further, heal their bodies, I believe from the bottom of my heart that there's a better way. I knew the other way. I worked as a medical transcriptionist in hospitals and out of hospitals for many, many years. I know what's there, but I know that it does not heal the body. We want to heal the body. You know, it's really precious when you can have a good doctor to go to. Because if I go see a doctor, I'm going to have to go far and wide because we need to make sure we see a godly doctor. We see a godly doctor, then guess what? He's going to say, you want to try the natural remedies? I'll support you in that. And that's what sometimes we just need to hear that. If you have a doctor that gets mad at you when you're trying the natural remedies, you need to find another doctor. I had a client, a young kid, came to me. His mother brought him in. The mother and father brought him in. He's only about 6 years old. And he had Hashimoto's. So I gave him my Hashimoto's tincture, and he started taking it. And the next time they went to see their doctor, which was 2 hours away, his Hashimoto's was completely gone. Of course, they had him on a good diet, and they were doing good things for him, took other recommendations. And his doctor told him, she said, if you are not going to do what I tell you to do, I want you to find another doctor. So they came back and told me that, and I said, easy, find another doctor. So we need to find a doctor that's going to go along with the things that we believe, the moral content of what we want to go into our body. We need to have a doctor who will support that. So, here's a good doctor, and I know that there's good doctors around. We need to find those doctors. And you think about what the doctor is up against. He knows that most doctors that you see out there are not going to be geared to telling people they need to go out and buy a juicer because they know most people won't. So your doctor is basically, most of the time, they're going to be geared to help people of the general public. That's why that one doctor had no clue that you could do the natural remedies for the arteries in 15 days because, of course, he's never had any patients that ever tried that. So we need to show things to the doctor by putting the great physician first. And then we have a doctor who also answers to the great physician. That's very important. Okay, so right here we're gonna teach you how to do some tincturing. We're going to do what I would call the berry flush. Hi, honey. We're going to do some berries. This is where all of our where everything starts is in the whole herb. We start with the whole herb, or cut and sifted, and then we make our tincture from here. So here I have hawthorn berries. I'm going to make a tincture for our family. Just say I have my mother needs hawthorn berries because of her heart. Remember, hawthorn berries is for the heart, so I'm going to put a cup of hawthorn berries in this tincture that I'm going to make. So I'm also going to put, I'm going to season it with a little bit of cloves. Cloves are very delicious in this. And this is going to be the drink you have in front of you. Boy, honey, you were pretty stingy with it. Is that all you had?
Oh, I didn't do it.
Oh.
I'm passing the buck on that one.
You gave it to somebody else? Okay, here's cloves.
Diane's helping us.
Okay, and then we have...
Wanted to make sure everybody gets some.
Okay. Then we have a little bit of Ceylon cinnamon that I'm going to put in there. Just a little bit. Ceylon cinnamon. Cinnamon, this is, again, for seasoning. Because I'm going to make this for my children. I want to make this for my children so that they will love the natural remedies. And then here I've got the elderberries. I've got some aronia berries. I've got a cup of aronia berries. So I'm going to put a cup of aronia berries. Those are higher antioxidants than even elderberries. So we're going to put some aronia berries in there. Aronia, aronia berries. And then I'm going to put some juniper berries, because juniper berries, sometimes I get UTIs, and so I want to put some juniper berries in there. So I'm going to put a cup of juniper berries, a cup of juniper. Plus, sometimes kids can get UTIs as well. This is really good. So we have that one, and then I'm also going to do the elderberry. Elderberry, again, has been known to cure the H1N1. It's antiviral. It has some antibiotic properties. So we're going to put a healthy amount of elderberries in there. So we have our concoction here. We have our concoction, and then I'm going to save these for another time. Oh, I've got some ginger. Ginger is also very good for seasoning a good concoction. I'm going to put about a tablespoon in there. Then I'm going to put these away for the next time I need to make a good tincture for my family. They're all dehydrated. They're all dehydrated. Now, if I had some fresh ones, I could put them in here. Yes, you can put them in. All right, so here we don't have any liquid. So what I have here is a mixture. I've got this on the lowest, and I have this. This is a mixture of vegetable glycerin and distilled water. Okay, and I'm going to put that in there, and we're going to cook it on a nice slow cook, and it's very delicious. Very delicious, very healing.
What's the percentage of distilled water?
The percentage is 60. This has the amount that you have to preserve it. Is 60% vegetable glycerin and 40% distilled water. So I'm just going to turn it up here, and this is what you need for every time that you make any kind of herbal concoction. Put it into a liquid formula, and then you can sell it to your family, you can sell it to your loved ones, or you can give it to your loved ones. And then that's ready to go. That's ready to go to make a nice, and when you smell this cooking, you want to turn it into a pie because it smells so good. Very, very delicious. Okay, so you have to do that for just a couple of hours. Very nice, slow, because I'm a firm believer in this preserving the enzymes, so that when I'm done cooking it here, I can squeeze it off. It's ready to use. It's ready to bottle. This here is ready. Just as soon as it cooks for just a little while, it's ready to squeeze off, and it's ready to bottle.
This is the short procedure, and it's only for berries. This next procedure is for anything else that's not berries. And so you start with a 70% vegetable glycerin, 30% distilled water, and that's what you soak we usually do it in a gallon jar, but you can use any size jar that you want to. You're going to fill your herbs into the jar a little over halfway with your herbal mixture, whether it's a single herb or an herbal mixture. You're going to fill
Make sure it's a gallon jar. Then did I say that?
You did.
Oh,
But they don't have to do it in a gallon jar. They can do smaller portions.
okay. Well, make sure it's glass is what I meant.
Yes, you do have, it has to be glass, has to be a glass jar. So you put your herbs in just a little over halfway, and then you fill the rest of that up with your 70-30 vegetable glycerin distilled water. And you let that soak for a month, 30 days.
That's the first procedure. That soak is the first
That soak is
procedure.
the first procedure on that jar of herbs. After the 30 days, you put the herbs in a t-shirt type cloth to squeeze it out. And depending on what your herbs are, sometimes that can be kind of difficult. And so you want to make sure you have something that can really press and squeeze that out.
Okay, so you squeeze that off after 30 days, and then you got your first step. You have to set it aside. Okay, there's the first step. I've got my liquid right here off of the first
I'm going
step.
to turn your microphone off.
I got to talk quick then. Then you take the herbs, you put them in the pot, and this time it's just going to be distilled water, because the distilled water is lighter than the vegetable glycerin, and it'll pull off the rest of the nutrients. And you're going to put it through a really light cook, because it'll help bring whatever's left in those nutrients. It will take it off those herbs, and then we mix the two together. Once this finishes, after it's cooked for 40 minutes, very light cook, then we squeeze it off, it cools, and then we put it with the one with the live enzyme. So we've got two mixtures we're putting together, and it's very, very powerful. I don't know of anybody who does the vegetable glycerins like we do, and I think it's very, very powerful.
So when you take the herbs on the first process,
Yes.
you squeeze it off, set the liquid to the side, dump those herbs into a pot, fill that pot up with water, just like you would if you were steeping any other type of herb. Okay, so you just want the water to come and cover it. And then let it steep for 30 to 40 minutes. And then you have to squeeze that off again. Okay, so that set of herbs is going to be soaked and squeezed twice. The first time for 30 days, the second time for 30 to 40 minutes.
The first time, no cooking. So that's basically you got your live enzymes, no cooking. And now we're going to take those original herbs, we're going to put them in a pot, just put the distilled water on there, just barely enough to cover them, and then we'll squeeze it off after we cook it a half an hour, and then we can combine the two mixtures, and we've got a very, very powerful way to do herbs. This is inside secrets we're telling you guys here, isn't it, honey?
It actually is. When she first got sick, she was buying some vegetable glycerin products from this one gentleman, and she kept asking him, how do you do it? Please share your procedure. And he kept saying, no, I'm not going to, because if you do, I'm going to lose a customer, and then you're probably going to get your own customers. Well, I don't remember how long she was persistent in asking this guy for his procedure, but he did finally share it with us. But
no, that was a different guy.
Oh,
that one never did.
Oh, that one never did?
No, he never did.
Well, shame on him.
I know.
So we're doing something that a lot of people just won't share with you.
That's all right, because you know what? God's remedies are available for everybody. And you know, I could give all of our formulas out, and most of you would never even think about using them. So it's only for some people who really want to take that ball and run with it. But that's fine, because there's so many people who need these natural remedies.
So I'm asking, you're talking about using glycerin with what you're talking about. This recipe here uses vodka.
Okay,
Are we talking about, because this says tincture, for a tincture. Are we talking about a tincture? The
all right, so let me answer that question. You can use, like Everclear. We use Everclear.
I don't know what that's.
Everclear or vodka.
We used to do everything with grain alcohol, but then we felt impressed to move away from that. and we've moved everything that we do into vegetable glycerin. We've hung on to some of the grain alcohol because some of our customers cannot do the sweet. That's the only reason why, is just to accommodate some people who've been long-term customers. But we do try to do everything in the vegetable glycerin. I can tell you how we can do the vegetable.
Well, I think the process is in the paper on the alcohol one.
Okay, so,
yeah, so we don't have to explain
that. You can do a
one.
different procedure using Everclear.
Yeah, but that one's in the
Vodka
packet.
already has the mixture mixed up, so you can use. It's just a one-step process. You just barely cover the herbs. You don't want to go any more than that because you want to make your herbs just as strong as possible. If we use grain alcohol, we want it to be just as strong medicinally as possible. So you don't want any more vodka in there than you absolutely have to. Just barely cover it. And keep it checked because the herbs can swell, and you've got to make sure it stays under the fluid. And make sure it's covered in a gallon jar or a half-gallon jar. Make sure it's glass. Okay? We do a lot of cayennes in grain alcohol, but we started doing it in vegetable glycerin now. So, does that answer everybody's question?
What?
Yeah.
The shelf life on
The shelf life of the grain alcohol ones is up to 50 years. For the vegetable glycerin, about 5 years. About 5 years. They're shelf stable. But they can last longer if you keep them in the refrigerator, but you don't have to. They're shelf stable. Let's talk about water. What are you guys doing to filter your water? Reverse osmosis is good, but everybody needs to filter it. Why do we need to filter our water? In the city, we got problems. In the city, we got chlorine, fluoride, and then we got other chemicals, that's right. Other chemicals, arsenic, I'm sure, is probably in some of it. Then there's pharmaceutical drugs that it cannot chelate out. So we need to have it filtered. With well water, which is what we had, is we have the inorganic lime going. Again, that just clogs up the kidneys. It clogs up the arteries. It goes throughout our body. It cannot digest that. It cannot recognize that as a nutrient. Pesticides coming off the fields. We were surrounded there for one time when we lived in Missouri. We were surrounded by all these GMO fields, GMO crops, monocrops, corn, soybeans, all of those. The chemicals coming off them are unbelievable. And where do they go? They go down the aquifers. And then, of course, we have the pharmaceutical drugs again to deal with. So we got to find a way to filter our water. I noticed everybody's doing the bottled water. Everybody has to do it on a pinch, but ideally, if when people come to our center for a lifestyle session, we always have cans that we give people, water bottle cans that we give people, like this one here, so that people can have plenty of water. We put their name on it, and everybody has their own good container. We want to get away from bottled water because of the BPA's. Those are like xenoestrogens that fill those estrogen sites and gives us hormonal issues. Hormonal issues are just rampant. So if we can get away from those BPA's by using a good water bottle, that would be good. So let's talk a little bit about water and what is going on with water. What is the best water? Is it distilled? Some people believe that, and I've heard this a lot, that water is, if you distill it, then it's dead water. So what's your thoughts on that, Cowboy?
What's my thoughts on distilled dead water?
Uh-huh.
What was making it alive in the first place?
Well,
What was making
minerals.
it alive before I distilled it?
Well, minerals. People believe that the lime and the calcium are live
Okay.
water.
So, yes, we're going to talk. Are minerals alive?
Never mind, Cowboy.
Well, I'm going somewhere.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going somewhere. Are minerals alive? No.
If
Minerals
our
aren't
body
alive.
can-
What makes minerals alive? It's when they're absorbed into the plants that God made to absorb them. So if you want live minerals, we should get live minerals from live plants and juicing. Water's not dead or alive depending on what's in it. Water's water, H2O, right? And so to get everything out of the water that we don't want in it, we distill our water. And if there's something that we need in our diet that we think might have been removed when we distilled our water, then we find the plant that we think we might be missing, and then we eat that.
Okay, so let me read this.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. A reporter by the name of Randy Johnson, I'm just going to read this to you here, in biology for many years has conducted an exhaustive research on water. He has stated that he has not been able to find a single source supporting the popular theory that distilled water leaches minerals from the body. He also says that although regular water would lack the source of nearly all essential minerals, is food. Mr. Johnson continues to support distilled water in the following ways. Distilled water is not dead, nor has it lost some of its vital force. These ideas are essentially meaningless statements. All water molecules, whether from a distiller, a water jug, is that water tap, a rain cloud, a pristine natural spring, or in the sewer, are exactly the same physically and chemically. There are just differences in the amount of contaminants the water might contain. All water molecules from any source and with any treatments behave the same way in the body. So we have to remove the contaminants, because so far there's nothing that I know of in the water that you want to drink because of all the compromises we have in our water source.
So I think one of the things that adds a little bit of confusion, as the rain falls through the sky, there are some elements that it collects from the air that feeds the soil for feeding the plants. And so because that water then goes into the streams, I think that's why a lot of people consider that if you distill water, then it's dead water, because whatever elements it collects from the sky, is then removed when you distill the water. But again, we want to get all of our nutrition from the plants. Isn't that what God designed it for?
Most of our nutrition is going to be coming from our plant source.
Yeah.
So we eat the right things. My husband and I have distilled our water for almost 20 years. We've been married almost 20 years. We've distilled the water the entire time. We want to look for our nutrients another way than through our water. And if it leaches anything out, it's going to leach out the calcium deposits that are already in our system. So we need to be doing some kind of a filtering of our water. Now, what's the difference between, what to say, if a person has a Kangen? Does a person have to be able to afford one of those those heavy-duty, expensive water filtering machines?
Well, actually, a Kangen is not a water filter. What Kangen does is it just changes the pH balance in the water.
That's
depending on what minerals are in the water.
So we did a test. I had a friend who lent me her Kangen water thing, and I was all gung-ho about using it. I thought, I want to try this. Well, he didn't like the taste of it. Does anybody have a water filtering system in their home? Is that a Kangen? She's got a Kangen,
yeah.
And somebody else. Well, I'm not going to speak too hardly about it, but I'm just going to tell you what our experience was. So he didn't like the taste of it. I thought it was perfectly fine. And so he says, well, I'll make a deal with you. You bring out a gallon out of the filter of the Kangen, and he says, and then I'll distill it after you're done. I said, perfectly fine. So he put it into our distiller, he distilled it, and there at the bottom of the distiller was all this inorganic lime, and it was like, no more for me. I went ahead and packed it up and sent it back.
It looked exactly the same whether it had gone through the Kangen or not.
So the message back to me was, when I talked to the lady who sold those, she said that Kangen actually works on that inorganic lime, so it actually has to have it. It's not something I fully understand, how the operation of it, I don't, but I just know that it didn't sit well with me, and I certainly wasn't going to pay a large amount for something that still had the inorganic lime in it.
The Kangen probably has its place. I think they're really good for rinsing vegetables and things like that. There's a setting where you can get good water that's...
And we do have one. We do have one. Somebody donated one to us, so we do have one. I want to put it to use at some things, but I'm not quite sure what we'll use it for yet.
What kind of distiller do you use at home?
just a regular distiller would be fine, but we use a water-wise distiller.
The brand that we use is Water-Wise. We have some friends that went online and bought a cheaper version. It looks just like a Water-Wise, but it's a cheaper version. Some of those can be kind of expensive, but a lot of the things like juicers, distillers and some of these, you can go online, go on Facebook Marketplace, and sometimes you can get some of these things a whole lot less expensive than buying brand new.
Speaking of going online, someone asked me a little bit about I did it now. Someone asked me about juicers the same way, since we're talking about machinery. We don't promote any certain one except the ones we've used and we've had success with. People always called me the queen of juicing because after I got well, I was always pushing juicing on people. And at one time, my husband and I went on YouTube, went on eBay and bought all these juicers, and I would share them with people. And for a long while there, I got well using a Champion juicer. So the Champion juicer is basically a masticator. Masticators are the gears that actually preserve the enzymes a little bit better. This one here is a centrifugal. It's a Breville juicer. This is what, if you've ever seen the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, okay, so he used the Breville juicer. And I feel it's a centrifugal. It does not preserve the enzymes as good. However, it's what I got well on. And guess what? Sometimes you have to measure which one's best against being able to stick with it, because it's very easy. You can put 5 carrots in and boom, 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 it's over with. And I like that. The masticators are a little bit more labor intensive and a little bit, cleanup is a little harder on it. So sometimes I tell people we're all a little bit fickle when it comes to juicing. We gotta make it easier for ourselves, and it does work. So I recommend the Breville as far as easiness is concerned, but the masticators are always going to be better as far as healthier juice, I think, but not enough to make up that big of a difference.
Yeah, because if your juicing process becomes so labor intensive that you quit juicing, right? So if you're going to be able to stick with juicing, you're going to want to have something that's not so labor intensive. Otherwise, you're not going to stick with it. So if you want to get the best juicer out there that saves the enzymes best as possible, just know that you're going to be probably spending just as much time cleaning it as well. Yes, ma'am.
I just kind of going back to the water. Are you familiar with the Berkey? Because you can use tap water, I think, and put that in there. Do you think that works well enough?
So those water filters, they mostly, their biggest thing is charcoal, and the charcoal absorbs some things, but they don't get the real serious chemicals. They don't get those out. Some of them will get out the lime and some of that. We have just recently gone through another process of looking at some different filters, and we're getting a whole house filter for our center. And so your Berkey filters, they're better than nothing at all. But as far as that's one of the things too. If you're looking for something for your whole house for showering and so forth, we recommend that you do a whole house filter. And frequently when you get those, you can get a reverse osmosis system for those for the side of your sink. Just save that for your drinking water and cooking. Or if you do want to distill your water for drinking and cooking, you can do that too. So the reverse osmosis would be like second best versus the distilled. Your other, anything that you get from Walmart or something like that where you just pour the water in and it's gravity fed through it, they're better, but they're not going to get, you could still get some harmful things through there.
You took so long that I can't remember what I was going to say. Okay, well, this is serious. Okay, honey, that was very good. I appreciate it. But we all need to be filtering our water. I just remember what it was. When it comes to taking a bath, if you don't have a whole house of water filtering, we have a problem with chlorine. I saw this online. And what happens is that chlorine, this guy did a demonstration, and he put his fingers in one, and I was going to do this, but the chlorine detector didn't come in time. So he put a couple drops in one glass of water, and he put a couple glasses in another glass of water from the same source. Same source from both glasses of water. And in one glass of water, though, he put his 2 fingers, and then he put the chlorine detector in both of these. In the one, it turned yellow, but the one that he had his fingers in didn't turn yellow because the chlorine had already latched onto the fingers of the person. And this was in just 30 seconds. 30 seconds. So chlorine is very, 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 very porous in the body. So we got to get away from the chlorine. And if you can find a way, something to pray about. We've never had a whole house cleaner, but you know what? We realize we've been bombarded with chlorine.
Oh, I just was going to ask, I go to the store and get my water filled up, in a non-BPA water gallon.
Yes.
The store has reverse osmosis water, but it also has ultraviolet, which...
Yes.
Is that something that will come with a regular house or regular water filter system for a house?
So the ultraviolet light filter part of it is just for killing any live bacteria. And when you purchase a whole house filter system, the company will come in and test your water and see what's in there. I don't know if they check for live bacteria or not. Some do, some don't. Ours did not. But that would be one of the options that could be added on if you wanted to. So a lot of it's going to...
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, have you guys heard about the, I don't know what you think about the ozonification of water?
I'm sorry, what?
Ozonification. We say it in Spanish is ozonificación, like, no.
Ozone.
Ozone, yes.
Okay,
Ozone.
thank you.
I think you know a little bit more about the ozone than I do.
What makes you think I know about it?
Because I don't know hardly nothing about it. I'm hoping you know more about it than
Okay,
I.
so we don't have an ozonator. I think ozone water would be perfectly fine. But we don't have an ozonator with our water. But if you want to start drinking ozone water, it's very healthy for your body. It helps pull out toxins that are kind of lodged in your system. So ozonated water is very good. Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on here.
Okay,
And
somebody
finish this
asked
up, and
me
then we'll
a little
switch
bit
over
about
to answer
COVID.
questions.
Well, COVID has been around a long time now. People already know what they want to do when they know what they must do or what they have things lined up for when they get sick. A lot of times people keep trying to find the distinction between when they get sick, they have to rush to the hospital because they have to get tested. Why do we need to get tested? Let's talk about why we need to get tested before we can start working on our health. When we have sickness, we have the flu, no matter what it is. Now we know COVID's been around a while. Why do we keep needing to get PCR tested? Do you know, honey?
Why we need to get PCR tested?
Uh-huh. Our jobs, sometimes our jobs, yes.
Someone's making money on it.
There are
Don't know who,
times
but-
when we come into controversial things, and we don't always have all the answers, but we use our discernment. Discernment is one of the gifts of the Spirit. We use our discernment. We let the Lord speak to us. And what my discernment tells me is that we've come into a controversial issue here. So we take this controversial issue and we use it as little as we can. When I come up on a food that people are saying this is wrong, this is wrong, and this is wrong, I think let's use it less. Let's use it less. I can eat this food fine. I'm not having any problem with it, but I have no problem rolling back because this has come out about it. This has come out about it, and this has come out about it. That's what we have to do. We can't put our heads in the sand, but let's take a look at it and let's use something that's controversial a little bit less. Do the best we can. When it comes to the PCR test and the masks, we know that the lungs are one of the organs of elimination. That the organs, when we breathe, we don't want to be breathing back our own bacteria. If we can avoid it, let's avoid it if we can. And also the PCR test, there's controversy there. Let's use it less and less. Now let's talk about what we can do if we think we might have it. Let's pretend like we do have it. Instead of running to the doctor and getting a PCR test, let's pretend like we do have it, and then let's hit it straight on. So what are some of the things that we can do if we know we have COVID? Isolate. 6 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're gonna want to do it the same as if we had the flu. If you have the flu, you don't want to go around and spread it to people, right?
That's right. There's nothing wrong with isolating. That's a good thing, but you can't isolate yourself from your husband or your wife.
Some people do. They'll stick their purse in their bedroom and keep it.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm going to tell you right now the information I had on COVID and Marburg. I can't open that. For some reason, my computer won't let me open it. So I'm just going to have to wing it here and tell you some of the things that we did when we had COVID. And these are things that you can do when you have COVID. One is to make sure that this is fully populated. And if you get cold and flu, if you get any COVID symptoms, you go right to your little medicine chest and pull out the things that you need. We actually have a COVID kit. It's a good place to start. And here's one thing you can do. If you know you're going to start making your own tinctures, you take, and you know you have been using a tincture from somebody else, you take that tincture and you copy down the herbs, and then you copy it yourself. And you can use them all as equal parts. Use them all equal parts. Like we have a Marburg virus tincture here. I don't have my glasses, but wormwood, all of these things that are antivirals. I could actually make this list myself, and I could do all equal parts, order them, mix them all together, use the same process, and make my own tinctures, and I'd be ready to help my family, my friends, make money for my church. There's a lot of things that you can do, and it's very easy to do. So that's what would be the ideal situation. If you're not someone who can do that, who doesn't want to do that, then buy a tincture so that you can have it ready, so that immediately when you get sick, you hit it hard. When I got sick the first time, this was when COVID first came out, and I got it bad. It was 3 weeks getting over it, and I threw everything at it. I knew I was sick as a dog. But my problem was, one, I didn't get started working on it right off the bat. We were coming off a session. I was helping all these other people that had it, and I wasn't giving myself any attention, and we were exhausted after the session. And so the first week was fine. The second and third week, I was flat on my back, my husband doing everything for me. So these are the steps that we did. We did hydrotherapy on my chest twice a day. I did the nebulizer treatment with colloidal silver. You guys have already learned all the things that you can do. Definitely get colloidal silver and put it in your little container here. Now people come in and they've got breathing issues. They can't breathe. Just one of my workers came in the other day and she says, I can't breathe. So I immediately put her on the hot and cold machine and gave her the colloidal silver, and I gave her some herbs. By the 3 or 4 hours, she was 100% better. So there are certain things that we need to do to make those steps possible so that we can stay out of the hospital. That's what we want to do, don't we? Unless anybody wants to pay that extra money. Let's not put ourselves in harm's way. When it comes to COVID, there's particular protocols that we want to avoid in the hospital. I know we have some Christian hospitals, but in this respect, they are bound by certain laws. They are bound by protocols. Your doctors do not always have the freedom to exercise what they feel is right. That's where the great physician comes in at, and we have to adhere. Remember that we, first of all, answer to him. Put him back on his throne, and your family will thank you. We had one lady that came. She was one of our workers. She had COVID so bad, but she was 2 states away, and I says, get down here then quickly. You've got COVID. This was when it first came out, and it was powerful. And she said, okay, I'll be there, because she knew that we had ways to help her. And so 2 days later, I called her on the phone. I said, Rhonda, where are you? And she says, I'm on my way. It's just taken us a while to get there. Another day later, she arrived. But by the time she arrived, She was so sick that we had to carry her in. And she was deathly ill. And so right off the bat, her husband's children who were in the medical field, they wanted their mother to go straight to the hospital. And I said, that's an option. You can always do that if you want. But she absolutely did not want to. And they started trying to bring her fever down with Motrin. So one of the things that I told them is that you've got to stop giving her this stuff. If you want us to help, you're going to have to stop giving her these things to bring her fever down. I'm watching her fever. We're going to manage her fever, but we're not going to take it away because we need that fever. We need the fever to help control and manage the disease. That's what fever does. It manages our disease. So you take it completely away with Advil or something like that, then guess what's going to happen? It just goes boom. So once they started working with me, we would do we were doing the hydrotherapy, the herbs, and the colloidal silver and the nebulizer. We turned over every stone. And within just 2 days, she was on the other side of it. Just 2 days. And so, but her family still to this day can't believe that the natural remedies helped her out. But they were ready to take her to the hospital. And one of the things that I did say, I said, if you do take her to the hospital, you won't be able to pressure them to do this or that. She will not be able to have any ivermectin. She will not be able to have any of these things that you want them to do. You will not be able to be by her bedside when she needs you. When it comes to COVID, this is serious business. You got to throw everything at it. Stay out of the hospital. So those are my thoughts there.
So one of the things, too, I want to mention about fever. You all probably, you wouldn't be here if you didn't already know a lot about health and natural remedies and how your body operates. But one of the things that a fever does is help stimulate your immune system to work harder, right? You know, your body gets a fever, the immune system says, hey, we have something we have to go attack, we have to go get it. One of the things that I did when I first got COVID, as she mentioned, we were coming off of a session. And I always take care of my body better when we're on session, and sometimes I detox. So when I got COVID, I didn't know I had COVID. I thought I was just detoxing from being in this session. So what I did was I was doing some of the detox maneuvers to help relieve the detox symptoms, which was fever bath and hot and cold from sauna and cold shower. Especially with the fever bath. If a person has COVID, and we treated a lot of people with COVID this way, if they came in, they had COVID, but their fever was minimal, say 99, maybe 100, we would go ahead and give them a fever bath to stimulate their fever to go higher, which would also stimulate their immune system to attack that even harder. So we don't want to get rid of fever, like she said, we want to manage it. But again, if we catch something and we know we have something, but we don't have a fever, frequently we can do a fever bath or some type of hot and cold with the heat to stimulate the fever. It will stimulate the immune system for it to do its job. And that was one of the reasons why I breezed through it as easy as I did, was because I attacked it quickly.
Okay, so there's one thing that people need to understand. If you don't get started immediately with fever bath, don't give them a fever bath. He insisted because he got well with a fever bath really quickly, and we can tell you a little bit.
But it was because my fever wasn't up. If somebody already has a fever, you don't want to do a fever bath.
Well, my fever was up, but he insisted on giving me a fever bath, and I thought it was going to kill me. And so we had two layers, 2 stories to the Wellness Secrets, and I was downstairs getting the fever bath, and I had to, after the fever bath, I literally had to crawl upstairs because I was so sick.
I would have helped you, but you didn't want help.
No, that's because I was trying to make you feel bad.
She's trying to make a point.
No, so you can't always fight fever with fever. Once a person's weakened to the state where they have a full-blown fever, you've got to alleviate that fever. So you just do it the natural way. One of the things that became clear to me that you have to do when you have COVID is going to be the same thing with Marburg. We have Marburg in the let's just say it's rumored. It's rumored, and it's got some good rumors because the CDC has borrowed money, has gone to the government and borrowed money for this future pandemic. And may or may not, might be hearsay, who knows, but we do know that we want to be prepared, and the worst thing that we can possibly come into contact with is a hemorrhagic fever, and that's what Marburg is. It's just like Ebola. So, but we don't want to be afraid. We want to equip ourselves. However, I think it's important to point out the fact that COVID is hemagglutinousness, just hemagglutination, clumping of the blood, just like COVID is. Because COVID gave a lot of people strokes because their blood was too thick. It's a vascular disease, and you've got to keep that blood thin. You've got to do it with garlic. I told people when they would come to the center, if they had COVID, I'd say, you don't feel like drinking? Sip, sip, sip. I was like a general. Sip, sip, sip. Because you've got to keep that fluid in there. You cannot stop drinking. And also, don't go to bed and sleep for hours on end. Sit up in a chair and take your little tinctures, take your garlic, all of these things, put it beside you, and make sure you do it every hour. Don't go to bed and sleep for hours on end. Okay, so a fever bath, this gentleman by the name of Dr. Otto Warburg, he said, give me a fever and I can heal any disease. When people come to our center and they have cancer, we put them through a fever bath every single day. Because when their fever is up, they're burning off disease, they're burning off cancer, they're burning off all kinds of things that are pathogens in the body. And we see it work. We had this one lady, we just recently had a session. She has breast cancer. And so she's been doing the juicing over this last year, and so there were some things that she was skipping. She was skipping the liver flushing. She was doing a juicing once for 7 days. That meant it was going too long. So she was skipping some areas, and only when I could see that she wasn't getting the progress that she wanted, I made her sit down and tell me what she was doing, and we found some things that she wasn't doing. So I told her to come join us in the session. So when she joined us in the session, we turned up the heat. We gave her all the garlic she needed. We started doing the things, and I started giving her those fever baths. And within just 1 week, that lump went down in half. And so now she says, I realize the details count. So now she's doing it faithfully.
So the way we do a fever bath is we'll put someone in a hot tub. Usually the water temperature is at 109. That's about where we start the temperature for an average person. And within 10 or 15 minutes, their temperature will come up to around 101.5 to 102. We try to monitor the person's temperature to be between 102 and 103. Once we get them up to temperature, keep them there for 20 minutes at least, if they can handle it. Some people can, some people can't. But keep their temperature up. And then once that time period's over, then lay them down in a bed, wrap them up in a blanket so that their temperature comes down really nice and slow.
And they can sweat.
And they can sweat. And it's really good to stimulate the immune system to attack anything in there that, like in this lady's case with cancer. There's been some documentation in regard to fever baths and the benefits.
And most of your lifestyle center, Adventist lifestyle centers and beyond, they do hydrotherapy. You've got to do hydrotherapy and get that skin working. Someone mentioned...
I want to mention this too, though. Someone with high blood pressure, you don't want to do a fever bath with them.
Not at first. But once you start bringing that blood pressure down, then you can do it.
Yep.
But you got to get it's really hard on you. Also, you can put an ice pack over your heart and keep the cayenne pepper close by. Just keep that stimulation going. But if you've never done a fever bath, I used to do them every night. When I had that lump in my breast, I would give my own version of a fever bath, and they're very powerful just to get that skin open. After I did all that cleansing, I could sweat up a storm. Before that, my skin was shut down. And speaking of skin, I want to tell you a couple of things. The skin is like a release valve for what's going on inside. I knew a girl, she had asthma, but her asthma went away every single time she had an outbreak of eczema or psoriasis. So we understand it's very easy to see in situations like that it's a release valve. And in ways, it's a blessing because it can be less painful than for some of these poisons going out another way. So this is an idea of poisons on the skin is eczema and psoriasis. And if we have that, I knew a girl, I told her, I said she had terrible eczema, psoriasis all up and down her legs. I said, you've got to get that liver cleaned out. She did, and all of her psoriasis went completely away. We're now in an age where we see so many people breaking out, a lot of skin conditions. Get that release valve working, get the skin open, and clean out that liver. That's the answer, cleaning out that liver. Absolutely. Yeah, that's getting the Epsom salt. Sometimes people are so low in magnesium that they need to catch it from the outside and they need to take it in the inside.
Yeah, if a person's going to do a fever bath, you actually want someone to give you a fever bath. And before you do one, if somebody wants to do a fever bath, we can kind of give you some
You
details
can get
on it too.
lightheaded and you can pass out. So you do have to make precautions. If you've never done one before, you don't want to do it alone. Okay, and this here herbal thing here, you can put the echinacea in there and make a powerful, powerful echinacea tincture. Every home and every medicine chest should always carry echinacea. Everybody needs to have echinacea. But make sure it's not the purpurea. The purpurea is not as strong as the echinacea angustifolia. The angustifolia is another version of echinacea, and you'll have to order it online. Get it by the pound, though, the echinacea root. All parts of both different versions of echinacea are very powerful. You can use them all. You can get them all, mix them together, and make yourself a tincture out of it.
What is the best place where you can start purchasing all these dry herbs?
Okay. All right, so let me tell you what they are. This is where I buy them, bulk. I buy everything in bulk, and I always, if you order $250 worth, no shipping. And we always order in the thousands, so there's no problem there. So let's say herbco.com. Herbco.com. Herb, HERBCO.com. Herbco.com. Another one is Frontier Co-op. Another one is Mountain Rose Herbs. Another one is, Mountain Rose Herbs. Another one is Star West Botanicals.
Don't look at me. I don't order the herbs.
I think that's enough, isn't it? And you can buy bulk from all of these. And buy your herbs in bulk. If you buy them in bulk, you save a lot more money. Matter of fact, you can go with a friend. You can guys can buy it together and buy these things in bulk. Okay? Star West Botanicals.
I got a microphone. I'll give it to you in a second. You go ahead.
Okay. How long are the tinctures good for as far as like expiration date? And should they be refrigerated?
No, we answered this just a little bit ago. The vegetable glycerins are good. If you put them in the refrigerator, they can last longer, but up to 5 years. But they're shelf stable. The grain alcohol ones are good up to 50 years because they are preserved for a long period of time.
What's the best tincture for Crohn's disease?
Well, Crohn's disease, let's see, Anna Marie Clement, she said that whenever they would have people come there and they would do implants, they would get completely well. We're not going to go there today. Okay, so if you need to do some cleaning up the Crohn's disease, which is it's very important to clean up the gut. I mean, we are living in an age where I think that's one reason why I got COVID so bad the first time, is because I always had, when I was married before, that is one thing I have a hard time with, is my gut issues. Because we've got to clean up the gut, and if you have anything going with your gut, avoid the things that we mentioned, do the juicing, you can clean up, you can get well from Crohn's. But if you don't get well from Crohn's, what will happen is that you will be a victim of surgery, and eventually they will have no choice but to remove little by little, and you don't want that. So do the juicing. The juicing is powerful. Get the bowels clean, to do a bowel cleanse, because all my digestive issues went away when I was doing the cleanse.
What about if you eat and then if you quit eating and then you start burping? What does that mean? If you're like burping in between meals, like when it gets empty, you just start burping a
Same
lot.
thing. Those are parasites, candida, dysbiosis going on in your gut. You've got to clean it up. Got to get those parasites going in there. Parasite cleansers going in there. I know it's easier said than done, but I was there. I know that it can be done. Matter of fact, when I was sick, I had to burp so much. I know this is not what everybody really wants to hear, but mine was just a lot of fermentation going on in my stomach, and I didn't know how to fix it. But I had a lot of burping, a lot of gas, and I could just burp, 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 and it would never stop. Once I did the cleanse, once I cleaned up my gut, all of that went away. So it can go completely away.
Are these companies that you were mentioning, Bulk Herb and Herb Co. and Frontier Co-op, do they sell organic?
They sell organic as well as non-organic.
Yeah, because I've heard that there's some places that use pesticides to grow their
One of the
herbs.
things about Star West Botanicals is they test their herbs for heavy metals and things.
Okay.
And you can order organic, but also there's wild crafted. Don't feel like you always have to get organic. Sometimes we have such a wide array of things that we have to have because of the formulas that we have to sometimes get some that are not organic, and those would probably be wild crafted. That means they'll find them in the wild, and sometimes those are even better than if you get them organic.
Okay.
Well, one of the things too, again, we go back to the principle, do the best of what we can, find the best we can, and
Let the Lord bless the rest.
don't dodge using some of God's natural remedies just because you can't find organic or that you're afraid that something might not be pure enough. Go ahead and use what you can find. The Lord will make up the difference for us.
We had one gentleman that came to the session, and you brought this up, so I just thought of it. His wife quoted a saying to me. She said that this describes him perfectly: paralysis by analysis. Don't let something that you can't do perfectly keep you from doing it at all. And I see that all the time. Do the best you can and let the Lord bless the rest. And He will. Like he told you earlier, I did not get well on organic carrots. I had non-organic carrots. So you do the best you can, and the Lord sees, He blesses. He's on His throne. Okay?
What about seizures? Do you have anything for seizures?
Who's talking? Oh, seizures. It depends upon what's causing them. Did they just start? Did it come from an accident? Is it because the body needs to be cleaned up? Is it parasites? Sometimes it's caused by parasites.
Oh, what if there's an injury?
An injury. Well, the body does heal. What I would probably use is Dr. Christopher's bone, flesh, and cartilage, because it's got comfrey root in it, and it can help restore. And just definitely drink that tea. Drink that tea, and just keep on using it. For spasms, lobelia is really good for spasms, and it might be good for the seizures too. So lobelia would be good too. That's a good suggestion. We got a gentleman here. Him?
Yeah, you were wanting to ask something at the, yeah.
Can you share some really good books on the different herbs and what they're good for? I mean, there's so much information out there, we don't know, or I don't know what, you can believe. People just say this helps this, that helps that, and everything. But is there something that you use to really know what certain herbs are used for?
I have tons of herbal books. One herbalist that is really good. Go to a true herbalist. Don't find out about it on Facebook. Go to a true herbalist, and they can help you. And if you have questions, I can help you. I'm happy to help you. But don't just not. The way you might think about doing it is when you type into your search engine, type in herbal remedies for such and such, and then start studying in what the healing properties of such and such. And then this is the way to study. But there are also good books. There are good herbal books that are just awesome. And if you call me, I can give you some. But Dr. John Christopher is what most of our herbal formulas come from, the work that he did, which was an awesome work. And that's what I got well on. So John Christopher and his formulas are very good.
And one of the things too, when you do the search that she's talking about, look to see who's saying the same thing consistently. Because the things that work the best are going to be the things that work the most. Not that some other things might not work every once in a while, but it takes a little bit of time. It'll actually be beneficial, though, to go through that process. But look to see who's saying the same thing most
so
consistently.
the main thing is to use what you do know. And then when I first started, I was stopping being a massage therapist, not a massage therapist. It was a medical transcriptionist. I'm a massage therapist too, though. So I was stopping that, and I'm going straight into the herbal world, and I knew nothing, and we didn't have the money for it. So I made salves in those little baby jars. These mothers were giving me their baby jars for the food baby jars, and I gave them out to everybody. And I started small, and the Lord blessed. Start where you are and what you have. And if you just did just a couple batches of salves, you'd be surprised who would benefit from that.
You got it, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for coming here today and sharing that and sharing all the samples. I'm very happy about that. And I just wanted to ask, what's the best way to clean the gut? And two, what will be, when do we need to consider going to your center? What will be a good...
What's the best way to clean the gut, she said?
Okay, so the best way to clean the gut, we have a bowel formula. It's going to be some different herbs. And let me tell you what things you need to do. You want to do some absorbers. This is what I sent to my sister. She did get the COVID shot. She's got blood clots in her lungs, blood clots in her legs. She broke out in a full body rash. And she now has an autoimmune disorder that attacks the lining of her lungs. This doesn't happen to everybody. It happened to her. And I sent her a full regime of the lower bowel formula 2, because it goes into the gut and heals the gut, because it's got bentonite clay in it. It's got slippery elm, which is food like nothing else. These herbs attach themselves to the colon wall and pull out heavy metals, plaque, parasites, all of these things. We need to get those heavy metals out of our gut. Got to get those out. For her, I told her, I said, take these herbs and don't stop until I tell you to. But these are very important. Charcoal is really good absorber. Bentonite clay, slippery elm, marshmallow root, flaxseed. These are things in the lower bowel formula 2 of Dr. Christopher's. This is very important. If you have Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, you've got to pull those poisons out of your gut. That is the cleanse right there. Then we have a lower bowel formula 1, which I'm not trying to do the infomercial. These are things that we need senna in there, the Cape aloes, that keeps you regular, keeps you going. Those are the things that will really move the things out of you, the parasites, all of these things out of your gut.
So, and in regard to if you want to come visit us at our center, the thing to do is get one of our cards or one of our catalogs and just give us a call. What you'll want to do is you'll want to counsel with Linda to see what you're, see what you would want to come visit for, and then could set up a schedule and schedule a time for. So that would be something that she would counsel you one-on-one with. It varies per person. There's not like a straight up answer that's the same for everybody.
Does anybody have any other
Any more questions? Oh, we have.
The cayenne pepper tincture, is it like the second one you did after the berries? And is it dried cayenne?
We didn't do a cayenne tincture. Not here, we didn't.
Was that what you had in the bottle?
Yes, that's what we have in the bottle.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we have a question here with this lady here.
This should be an easy one. What if you have a Vitamix but not a juicer? Does a Vitamix work okay for juice?
A Vitamix has a tendency to heat the juice. It will destroy some live enzymes. People make soups with their Vitamix. And remember, that's got the fiber in it. That has to be considered a blended food. And if you try to strain it out, it's still not going to work very good. I've heard of people doing that. They'll say, oh, I have a juicer, and then it's a Vitamix. Oh, that is not going to work. It's got to be a juicer. a real bona fide juicer because you want to preserve those enzymes because you don't want to pull that juicer out every day and every time you juice. You want to do it for 3 days. And also, if you make sure you strain those juices, they last longer. But if you leave that pulp in there, they'll go bad faster because it's when that pulp is at the bottom that they go bad.
Yeah.
So
Vitamix is really good for smoothies. And smoothies are good.
I have a
You're
question.
very welcome.
Hello?
Oh, we have another question over here, honey.
I have a family of people that just cannot sleep night after night. Are you talking like cleanse would do it? Is there any other herbs? I mean, we've tried tons of different herb formulas and herbal things.
So everyone in your family has insomnia?
It seems like it's just inherited, yes. Most of my son, my mom, my grandfather, I've had it.
You guys could just have a nighttime party or some kind.
Yeah, but then you get really sick after a while, and then you finally sleep
that's
from
right.
exhaustion.
We need
but
that
your
REM
mind
sleep.
keeps going at night, and you just can't stop. I mean, chamomile tea and plus all the other herbs. But just wondering if you had any ideas. Sorry, thank you.
What's that?
Your liver enzymes go up when they test you.
Yeah.
Not getting enough sleep. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about sleep. I hear this all the time, and we get lots of calls on people not being able to sleep. Did you know that people came to Jesus and told Jesus on the steps of right after he chased off the money changers, they came to Jesus and they were complaining about not being able to sleep. I can only imagine his compassion. When people can't sleep and when they have suffering and hurt, we have a great physician who understands. Sometimes people can't get into the sleep state because of toxicity. They need to make sure that they have done the cleansing, because when I went through a cleanse, I looked forward to that pillow. Because when you are cleansed, you have the most profound rest. You've got to cleanse your system out so that you can sleep. Sometimes people cannot get into the sleep state because of toxicity in their body. There's other things you can do. You can bring magnesium in. You can bring passion flower. You can do all these things. But the root of the problem is going to be because you got to get that toxicity out of your body. Like I said, we're all guilty in diet. We're all guilty in our stress levels. But we also come into environmental problems. Pharmaceutical drugs, we've got to get rid of all these things. Doing it the right way with the help of God. Are we about done?
Oh, we have a question back here on the back row.
Magnesium glycinate would be the best, is the one, but the magnesium taurate is also good. Magnesium citrate is what is in calm, and it will actually help you to go to the bathroom. A lot of people use it to go to the bathroom, but magnesium is good. Magnesium is water soluble. So if you overdose on magnesium, it's going to be okay because it will flush right out. It's better to overdose on magnesium than to underdose on it because most people are so heavily low in magnesium. But magnesium glycinate, it crosses the blood-brain barrier. I think magnesium taurate does too, and there are other ones. But magnesium gluconate, that's more of a not a good one. Citrate again makes you go to the bathroom. Okay.
I have a lady here at the microphone.
Okay, can you explain the gift that you gave us, exactly what it is again, and how to take it now that we have it?
That's the elderberry tincture,
yes.
And I would probably give...
how much?
You put some in baby's bottle.
Like, you can eat this like in one day? Drink this all in one day, or should you just do a little bit?
I would say that's probably 4 or 5 days worth right there. Do a couple tablespoons in your...
Oh, it's not full. There's only a little bit in there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, therefore I see. Yeah, that's probably a couple days worth. You can do a tablespoon in the morning, a tablespoon in the evening in your water. It won't take very long. Actually, I thought it was more. Do we have any more back here, Diane? All right, we got some more back here. I'm sorry we didn't have more than that. We had a little bit more here today than I thought we would need. Okay, go ahead.
So I've had itchy ears for 21 years, and they really don't know why. I've done allergy, I've done all that stuff, but they don't know. So I see Miracle Ear Oil back there. Would that be a good thing to use?
Miracle Ear Oil is for infections in the ear.
They say the canals are dry and flaky.
Dry and flaky. That would be more of an external thing going on, but you say it's right there by the ear. It's probably more of a fungus, and here's what I would do.
The ear canal, and it's not
it's
a fungus.
in the ear canal.
They look at it.
Here's
yeah.
what I would probably do. Thank you, Diane. If somebody has just a little bit, she's going to populate it. What I would do if it's on the outside is...
It's in the canal, inside.
How far down?
You can't see it.
Okay, take a cotton swab, dip it in apple cider vinegar, and go in there and just kind of clean it out with the apple cider vinegar. Sometimes you can get a little bit of a fungus going on in there because it's a warm environment. So see if you can't get the itchiness to go away just by using apple cider vinegar. A lot of times people get a fungus, they might get a yeast infection. Apple cider vinegar in your bath water is really good to use for any kind of a yeast infection. And you might try that on the swab and put that in your ear. Not a real wet one, but just enough to see if you can't douse that whole area. And I would take the rag and rub the whole area of your ears.
Because they'll look in there and they can tell if it's a fungus or not.
They can't?
And they can, and they say it looks clear.
Yeah.
And then over the course of a month, it starts accumulating, soft wax and all that. So then you got to get it.
I would probably just try that apple cider vinegar.
Thank
and then
you.
will you call me and let me know?
Okay.
Because we can try to come up with some other
It's been
ideas.
21 years of itching.
What? Okay.
I'm sorry, this thing's a little short. Hold on. Like, what fruits or vegetables would you recommend over others? Like, is there a specific kind that I have to use, or?
What was your question again?
What fruits or vegetables do I have to recommend over others? Like, would you recommend this one over that one, or?
You got high blood pressure? Celery's wonderful because it's got natural sodium. It drives the unnatural sodium out of your tissues. So celery, let carrots be your base, 30 to 40%. Kale, Swiss chard. Parsley is good for the kidneys. Cabbage is good for the stomach. Loves it. Cancer hates cabbage. What else is there? So those are things I use. Those are the things I use. If you absolutely have to have sweet in the beginning, 1 green apple for the whole batch. 1 green apple for the whole batch. You can also put a whole lemon in there. Put the rind and everything in there. If you look right here, you can see a wonderful depiction of the worlds. And right here on the left here, oh, if I can read this here. I don't have my glasses. Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Earth. There's the Earth right there. And then the second depiction, all of a sudden the Earth next to these other ones is this little one here. Then there's Neptune, Uranus,
Saturn, and Jupiter.
Saturn and Jupiter right there. So then you go to the third one and you see all of a sudden, look how little Jupiter is on the third one. And then you have, what are they, Cowboy?
Wolf, 359, the Sun, and then Sirius.
There you go. Now look at Sirius. Now down in number 4, look how small Sirius is. And then you have, what's the next one, Cowboy?
Sirius, Pollux, Arcturus, Aldebaran.
Okay, good try. I mean, good. And then looky here at number 5. There is that very large world down at the very bottom on number 5. And then there's the rest of them. What are they there? Everybody say them at once.
Rigel, Antares, Betelgeuse.
Betelgeuse. And then look at the last one, number 6, how little it is compared to the next ones.
Yeah, Betelgeuse.
Betelgeuse.
And the last one is Canis Majoris.
Okay, so look how little the world is. Would you say that the world is the Earth is one speck compared to all of these worlds? And this is just our universe, our Saturn, our
solar system.
Solar system. This is our solar system. There's other worlds and other solar systems. And it's unbelievable. We are the only world that fell, the only ones who Jesus died for. Is that humbling or what? It is to me. Here I am one speck in a speck. And this is something that is a beautiful quote. Through channels which we cannot discern, he is in active communication with every part of his dominion. But it is in this speck of a world, in the souls that he gave his only begotten Son to save, that his interest and the interest of all heaven is centered. I told my husband that I've taught the universe quite a few things. things that they don't want to be. They don't want to follow me around and do all the things that I've done. And I hope that for an eternity, I can be an example to the world of what you don't want to be. And what you certainly don't want to go back to that lawless life that we lived. We're done with it. We want to go to heaven. And so we are in the speck of a world, but guess what? God has elevated us to a world that he's going to live forever on this earth with us. We have to look forward to it, make it through the storms ahead, and look forward to eternity with him. You go ahead and go.
I really do like the close of our presentation, because you saw those 6 different pictures and how each time the world kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But then we get to have the privilege of, when it's all said and done, the capital of our universe is going to be here on this little earth.
Amen.
That is just so amazing to me that God would love us so much.